Chapter 2996, Greed. Chapter 2996, Greed. Elder Dongfang frowned. What are you doing? Feng Wu said matter-of-factly. I'm making my medicine. She had found the cauldron in the Imperial apothecary when she went there with Emperor Wu's token. It was a portable instrument, and it had been collecting dust in the palace, so she took it without hesitation. Elder Dongfang stared at Feng Wu in disbelief. Had the girl lost her mind? Making medicine? Does she think I haven't seen this process before? I've seen Ziyun making her pills. It has to be in a refinement room, and there mustn't be any noise. The girl was going to do that in front of so many people. Who was she trying to fool? I can tell you know nothing about medicine refinement. Elder Dongfang smirked. A real medicine refiner doesn't work like this. Elder Dongfang glanced at Dongfang Ziyun, feeling proud of the girl. Dongfang Ziyun nodded at her aunt. She then told Feng Wu, Feng Wu, don't humiliate yourself. That's not how you make pills. You don't know a thing. She was relieved. For a moment, she really thought Feng Wu was a semi-divine medicine refiner because the girl was so calm. When Feng Wu took out the cauldron, Dongfang Ziyun thought she had revealed the fact that she was only as capable as a student could be. What do you mean she doesn't know a thing? Xiao Wu has been a supreme-level medicine refiner for a long time. Feng Sun finally broke free. He pulled the rag out of his mouth and shouted at Dongfang Ziyun. Dongfang Ziyun only shook her head. Feng Sun, stop bragging. I'm a genius, and I only became a supreme-level medicine refiner at 20. As for her, Feng Sun said, Xiao Wu is only 14. Dongfang Ziyun smirked. A 14-year-old is a semi-divine medicine refiner? Can it get more ridiculous than that? I'm done talking to you. Dongfang Ziyun wanted to chase Feng Wu away. However, she was shocked by what she saw. That small cauldron was floating in the air and burning on its own. No, it wasn't like that. A small, colorful bird was breathing fire at it. Dongfang Ziyun was dumbfounded. When she looked at Feng Wu, she saw her putting materials into the cauldron. Dongfang Ziyun recognized several of them. Where did Feng Wu get those materials from? She then saw a storage pouch hanging on Feng Wu's belt. That pouch contained a storage space. Even Dongfang Ziyun's own sect didn't have something like that. Her aunt, who was the most senior elder of the military academy, didn't have such a treasure either. How could Feng Wu have such a thing? Dongfang Ziyun was so jealous. It would be so convenient if she had one of her own. She was so jealous, and she wanted to take it from Feng Wu. Chapter 2997, The Pill. Chapter 2997, The Pill. Dongfang Ziyun wasn't the only one who felt that way. Many people stared at Feng Wu's storage pouch in jealousy. Feng Sun smirked. That's from Boss Jun, and it has his personal inscriptions on it. Do you want to take it by force? Dongfang Ziyun stared at Feng Sun in disbelief. If the pouch had the Crown Prince's personal inscriptions on it, he would know when the pouch was taken by force. Dongfang Ziyun was even more jealous. She stared at Feng Wu. What's your relationship with His Royal Highness? Feng Wu ignored her. She was concentrating on her refinement process. The semi-divine enhancement liquid wasn't that easy to make, but the process had been shortened significantly after her improvement the night before. Little Phoenix breathed fire at the cauldron, and Feng Wu adjusted the materials. Their work was in perfect harmony. Dongfang Ziyun couldn't watch anymore. You look the part. She smirked at Feng Wu. Unfortunately, you can't pretend forever. The others were going to leave at first because they didn't want to waste their time watching Feng Wu. However, Dongfang Ziyun decided to stay because of His Royal Highness. It was common knowledge in the fortress that she was in love with the Crown Prince. When Dongfang Ziyun learned of Feng Wu and Junlin Yuan's relationship, all she wanted was to defeat Feng Wu. She wanted to destroy Feng Wu forever. Dongfang Ziyun stopped her aunt. If she's bold enough to make her medicine, let's give her a chance. She then whispered in her aunt's ear, She's so pretty that it makes me uneasy. Please help me. She's obviously bluffing. If we leave now, we'll look like we're afraid of her, as if she really is a semi-divine medicine refiner. Aunt, We can't leave. Let's stay here and see what she can make. Once we have proof that she's bluffing, we can laugh at her and spread the news. Her reputation will be ruined. Aunt, please help me. Dongfang Ziyun held her aunt's arm and pleaded. Elder Dongfang knew what Dongfang Ziyun wanted and that she was in love with the crown prince. She would like to help her niece. If Dongfang Ziyun could marry the crown prince, it would benefit the shadowless sect greatly. At that thought, Elder Dongfang nodded. All right, let's wait and see. Somebody had fetched 2 chairs for the 2 elders. Since Elder Dongfang wasn't leaving, nor would Elder Hellion, he didn't want to seem weaker than the military academy. Deep down, he wished he were somewhere else. Elder Dongfang would sneer at him from time to time, making him rather embarrassed. Elder Hellion had just sat down when Feng Wu said, "It's done." With a wave of her hand, the aroma of medicine filled the air. Chapter 2998, Can't Be Real. Chapter 2998, Can't Be Real. It's done. Dongfang Ziyun was resting her head on her aunt's knees and yawned. She had been about to take a nap when she heard those baffling words. What did she mean? Who was she trying to fool? She looked at Feng Wu in annoyance. If I'm not a supreme-level medicine refiner, she might actually... What's that smell? Dongfang Ziyun took a deep breath, and her nostrils were filled with the aroma. That was... The shadowless sect might not be a treasure trove, but they had accumulated some semi-divine pills. Her master had shown them to her once, and their aroma was very similar to what she was smelling now. Dongfang Ziyun thought, can she even mimic the smell? Ziyun. Elder Dongfang also noticed the scent. She nudged her niece, telling her to check it out. Dongfang Ziyun's stomach lurched. She had a bad feeling about this. She told herself, no, it can't be. How can a 14-year-old make a semi-divine enhancement pill in such a short time? Even my master can't do that. She rushed toward Feng Wu, trying to see what was going on. She arrived just in time to see the round pill. The semi-divine pills had special marks and a golden glow. They couldn't be faked. Hence, Dongfang Ziyun felt she would lose her mind when she saw it. She stared at the pill in the cauldron. You? What? No. Gosh. She was so shocked that she couldn't form a coherent sentence. She tried several times before she could say, You played a trick, didn't you? You put a pill in the cauldron when we weren't looking. Dongfang Ziyun shrieked like a crazy person. It couldn't be real. It had to be a trick. If Feng Wu had really made that pill, Dongfang Ziyun and her aunt would look like idiots. Dongfang Ziyun glared at Feng Wu, hoping to hear that it was a joke. But Feng Wu never even looked at her. Smack! Dongfang Ziyun felt as if she had been slapped. She was so scared that she had lost control, but her opponent didn't even look at her. She felt like a clown. Ziyun, what's going on? Elder Dongfang rose to her feet. She didn't seem too happy. Seeing her niece's reaction, Elder Dongfang knew something was wrong. And it can't be real. It can't be. Dongfang Ziyun waved her hands in the air, unable to form a full sentence. Nobody knew what she was talking about. Elder Dongfang didn't know what Dongfang Ziyun was trying to say. She slammed her staff down and glared at Dongfang Ziyun. Speak like a normal person. Chapter 2999. Stop. Chapter 2999. Stop. It's a semi-divine enhancement pill. Dongfang Ziyun ground her teeth. There's a semi-divine enhancement pill in that cauldron. What? Elder Dongfang finally realized how serious it was. She rushed toward Feng Wu and stopped a few steps away from the cauldron. She stared at the little cauldron and saw a pill floating out. It's a semi-divine enhancement pill. It really is. Elder Dongfang felt like she had been punched in the face, and her temples throbbed. Elder Hellion followed her. His eyes widened when he saw the pill. How crazy had this world become? Dongfang Ziyun wouldn't believe it. She switched it. Think about what you saw. She switched this semi-divine pill with what she made, right? She would rather die than believe a 14-year-old could do that. Switch pills. Elder Hellion searched his memory and realized he hadn't been paying attention to the process, so he didn't see if Feng Wu had done that. He turned to Elder Wu. Did you see it? Elder Wu shook his head. No, she didn't switch pills. I was watching her the whole time. Dongfang said, no, she must have. I'm sure of it. Elder Dongfang wasn't paying attention either. No one paid attention to Feng Wu, who was supposed to be useless. Elder Dongfang couldn't give an answer either. You people are unbelievable. Feng Sun smirked because he had seen the process and knew that Feng Wu had made it on her own. He hadn't said anything because he was also shocked. Finally, he could think again. Feng Sun gloated at Dongfang Ziyun. Xiao Wu made a semi-divine enhancement pill in front of everybody, but you're saying she switched the pills. Do you hear how ridiculous you sound? Dongfang Ziyun ground her teeth, but couldn't think of anything to say. Her aunt blushed, but she still chose to believe Dongfang Ziyun. I think she probably switched the pills, Elder Dongfang told Elder Hellion. Elder Hellion also hesitated. However, at that moment, what are you doing? Dongfang Ziyun stared at Feng Wu because Feng Wu was melting the semi-divine enhancement pill. Everybody stared at Feng Wu in disbelief. Elder Hellion cried out, "Stop it! We believe you. Don't ruin the pill. It's more important than your life." Feng Wu gave him a baffled look before continuing her work. Elder Hellion wanted to take the pill from her, but the fire was so hot that even he couldn't withstand it. Moreover, taking the pill by force might damage it. Chapter 3000 Frustration. Chapter 3000 Frustration. Elder Hellion had no choice but to watch Feng Wu melt the pill. Elder Hellion wanted to shout at Feng Wu for being so wasteful. The girl didn't know what she was doing. How could she destroy such a precious pill? Dongfang Ziyun glared at Feng Wu angrily. You're destroying evidence, aren't you? You're covering up your tracks. Tell me I'm right. You're so loud. Feng Wu finally had enough and said impatiently, Are you really a supreme-level medicine refiner? Can't you see I'm making this semi-divine enhancement liquid? She didn't want to show off, but these people wouldn't stop nagging, and she had to say something. It wasn't like she had another choice. It wouldn't make any difference whether she made the pill in public or behind closed doors. She still needed to give Jun Lin Yuan the injection later tonight. Feng Wu said those words in the most casual tone, but the others wouldn't believe her. Who would believe that a 14-year-old could make a semi-divine enhancement pill, which would take other medicine refiners decades to make? Therefore, Dongfang Ziyun, Elder Dongfang, and even Elder Hellion didn't believe her. Dongfang Ziyun wanted to shout at Feng Wu, but she already began to panic. Her worst nightmare was coming true. She glared at the cauldron and murmured, She can't make it. She can't. If Feng Wu successfully made the liquid, it would mean she was even more than a semi-divine medicine refiner. Dongfang Ziyun and her aunt would be utterly humiliated. Moreover, it would crush Dongfang Ziyun's confidence and break her. The last thing she wanted was to see Feng Wu succeed. However, Dongfang Ziyun watched as the pill melted. Gradually, the brown liquid became transparent. No! Dongfang Ziyun screamed in her head. Her eyes were wide open, and she had bitten through her lower lip. However, she couldn't stop Feng Wu. The liquid was poured into a small, transparent vial. That was the semi-divine enhancement liquid. The real thing. Dongfang Ziyun swayed, and her knees buckled. Elder Dongfang's maid had to use all her strength to pull the girl up. Miss, Xuelan was shocked. Dongfang Ziyun looked awful. She was covered in cold sweat, and her face was drained of all color. She was shaking from head to toe. Ziyun! Elder Dongfang shouted furiously. Dongfang Ziyun grabbed Elder Dongfang's hand. She thought she was going to collapse. Chapter 3001, Untitled. Chapter 3001, Untitled. It's the enhancement liquid. It really is. She made it. OMG. How could she be so lucky? Her eyes rolled back, and she fainted in her aunt's arms. Elder Dongfang was speechless. She didn't know how to describe her feelings now. No one was questioning Feng Wu's skills anymore. Everybody had been watching when she turned the pill into the liquid. That was much harder than making the pill, and no one again brought up the possibility that she had switched pills. Elder Dongfang looked at her unconscious niece before giving Feng Wu a long look. When she rose to her feet, she almost fell back onto the ground. Xuelan immediately supported her with a solemn look on her face. Elder Dongfang was extremely capable, but because of Feng Wu, she could barely stand up. Elder Dongfang handed Ziyun to Xuelan before walking away. She looked so lonely from behind. Despite always keeping her back straight, the old lady was hunching now. Once she left, the others focused on Feng Wu again. A semi-divine medicine refiner. Feng Wu really was what she said she was. Elder Wu had been prepared for this, and Feng Sun had always known that Feng Wu was a special girl, so he was ready to accept the information. Xian Yi knew Feng Wu was a genius, so he believed she could do anything. However, Elder Hellion hadn't met Feng Wu until today. What did Feng Wu show him? The old man was having a difficult time accepting this. You? Elder Hellion swallowed and looked at Feng Wu. He wanted to say something, but he could only ask, "Are you really a semi-divine medicine refiner?" Elder Hellion was one of the leaders of Imperial College. Elder Wu was Gong Sun Mu's direct superior, and Elder Hellion was Elder Wu's superior. He was much higher up the food chain. However, even he was too shocked by Feng Wu to make conversation. Something like this had never happened before. Compared with him, Feng Wu was so calm. She glanced at Elder Hellion and said, "Yes, I am." Was that it? Elder Wu was anxious. She was wasting a great opportunity to befriend Elder Hellion. Elder Wu wanted to remind Feng Wu when a question struck him. Who was superior, semi-divine medicine refiner or Elder Hellion? Elder Hellion asked, "Are you really a current student?" Feng Wu nodded. "Yup," Elder Hellion said. "Why haven't you graduated? It will be so easy for you." Chapter 3002. A Genius? Chapter 3002. A Genius. The question dumbfounded Feng Wu a little. She blinked. "I can graduate earlier than scheduled." Elder Hellion seemed confused. "Why can't you?" Feng Wu said, "I don't think I have enough points." Elder Hellion adored Feng Wu now because she was the super genius of his school. The military academy didn't have such a student. He knew Elder Dongfang had made a breakthrough and was now a level higher than he was. When the genius teenager revealed herself, Elder Dongfang was so shocked that she slipped away. Because of that, Elder Hellion liked Feng Wu even more. He glanced at Feng Wu and said confidently, "Kiddo, there's something you don't know. Geniuses have privileges." He didn't even care what cultivation level Feng Wu was at. She was such a talented medicine refiner that he couldn't care about her cultivation level. She was already a genius. Feng Wu's eyes lit up. "Can I graduate now?" "Why not?" Elder Hellion was about to nod when Elder Wu whispered something in his ear. Elder Hellion froze. He couldn't believe his ears. "Are you kidding me? How could any new student rise all the way to Class A in less than 6 months, let alone come here?" Elder Hellion had met his fair share of geniuses, but none of them was like Feng Wu. "It's true." Elder Wu smiled bitterly and took out a school report. He had brought the report here to show Elder Hellion what a genius Imperial College had. However, Elder Hellion saw the girl before Elder Wu could present the school report. Elder Wu wondered if anybody could outshine the girl. Elder Hellion read the report before looking up at Feng Wu. Feng Wu kept her back ramrod straight and met his gaze with glowing eyes. "Elder Hellion, can I graduate now?" Elder Hellion looked down at the report and read it one more time. Despite how calm he looked, he was shaken to the core. Holy crap, what's going on? Calling her a genius is an understatement. If she's a genius, Chen Ziyun is an idiot. Huh, Imperial College finally has its own genius. His Royal Highness is an honor graduate of both schools, so he doesn't count. Feng Wu is our own. Elder Hellion had been inferior to Elder Dongfang in the past few years. The families of Dongfang and Helian had competed against each other for generations. Chapter 3003, His Royal Highness Wakes Up. Chapter 3003, His Royal Highness Wakes Up. The two elders had been competing with each other all the way through their school years at Imperial College, and the competition continued even when they both became elders. Elder Helian had always been on the losing side, but now he had Feng Wu. Realizing he was smiling involuntarily, Elder Helian immediately put his hands on his face to wipe away the smile. Calm down. I must stay calm. Being as important as he was, he couldn't let his emotions show. Ahem. Elder Helian feigned an indifferent manner and frowned at the school report. She's all right, I guess. Elder Wu saw through Elder Helian's pretension. He looked up at the sky and rolled his eyes. Elder Helian told Feng Wu, "You don't have enough points, kiddo." Feng Wu was disappointed. She knew things wouldn't be that easy. Elder Helian couldn't bring himself to see the look on the girl's face. He only wanted to give the little genius some pressure so that she wouldn't become too arrogant. However, he didn't want to upset her either. Look, you still have so many points to gain. If you really want to graduate, you'll have to kill a few junior spiritual kings of the Dongsang Kingdom. It's easy, isn't it? Elder Helian felt like the big bad wolf, trying to swindle Red Riding Hood. Elder Wu tried to cut him off, but failed in the end. He hadn't told Elder Helian how well Feng Wu did in the competition. If Elder Helian knew what Feng Wu had done, he wouldn't be saying such things anymore. Feng Wu asked, "Can I graduate if I kill 10 junior spiritual kings of the Dongsang Kingdom?" Elder Helian said, "Of course, but you've only just become a spiritual king and are at Shang Changtian's level. Don't do anything reckless. Practice your skills and keep yourself safe, all right?" The same level as Shang Changtian. Feng Wu realized why he got that idea. He read it from the report. That was already a few days old. Elder Wu reminded him, "Sir, that report is from several days ago." Elder Helian gave him a strange look. Of course he knew that. Wasn't that the latest report? Could anyone make one breakthrough after another in a few days? Elder Helian ignored Elder Wu's reminder and only talked to Feng Wu. "Kiddo, I'll let you go to the battlefield when you're a level 3 spiritual king. How about that?" Feng Wu said obediently, "All right." Elder Helian was so pleased with the pretty and well-behaved girl. If it were up to him, he would have adopted her by now. Elder Wu looked up at the sky when he recalled Feng Wu's achievements since they met. Just then, they heard noise inside the room. Feng Wu immediately rushed inside. Jun Linyuan had woken up, and the first person he saw was Feng Wu. Chapter 3004, What's Wrong? Chapter 3004, What's Wrong? You're awake. How do you feel? Any pain? Feng Wu crouched down by the bed and checked Jun Linyuan's pulse. His eyes were as pretty as ever, but there was no light in them. He only stared at Feng Wu in silence. The look was so cold that it made one shudder. Feng Wu was the first to come in, and behind her were Feng Sun, Xian, Yi, and the other elders. The crown prince wouldn't look at anybody else, and his face had never looked so grim. Feng Wu's heart sank, and she had a bad feeling about this. It was incredible. The next second, the crown prince's face was as dark as a stormy night, and there was something very domineering about him. Even Elder Helian wanted to shudder when the crown prince glanced at him. "Get out!" the crown prince bellowed at Feng Wu. Feng Sun panicked. Boss Jun got angry all the time, but he had never been so furious. He even shouted at Feng Wu, the girl he cared about the most. Feng Sun wanted to step forward when the crown prince glared at him. "Get out, all of you." He was furious. The air in the room seemed to have frozen. Everybody thought the crown prince would jump out of bed and kill them all. However, he didn't have any spiritual essence or the intent to kill anyone. No one knew what to do. Just then, he smirked. "I'm useless now, and you won't follow my orders anymore. Am I right?" He was glaring at Feng Wu when he said that. It was as if he wanted to drill holes in her with his eyes. Feng Sun was panic-stricken. That tone. Feng Sun could tell Jun Linyuan's mood from his tone. He only sounded this way when he was extremely angry. He looked like he was going to explode. What did he mean he was useless now? Feng Sun recalled what Feng Wu had said earlier, so he turned around and looked at Feng Wu in astonishment. Feng Wu nodded. Boom! Feng Sun thought his head was going to explode. The most unthinkable thing had happened. Boss Jun, the genius crown prince, had been. Feng Sun thought he was losing his mind. He turned to look at the crown prince, but only met the latter's smirk. Feng Sun was rendered speechless. I think we should leave. Everybody out. Feng Sun knew how proud Jun Linyuan was. He could never let anybody see his vulnerable side. Everybody had to leave. After some consideration, Feng Wu decided to leave the room and let Jun Linyuan calm down. Once everybody else had left, Feng Sun went to Jun Linyuan's side, tried to talk to him. The crown prince stared at him. Even you're going to disobey my order now. Is that it? Feng Sun felt a chill run down his spine. Boss Jun felt like a complete stranger. How scary. Feng Sun saw blue veins pop on Boss Jun's forehead. Chapter 3005, Immortal Spiritual Fruit. Chapter 3005, Immortal Spiritual Fruit. The crown prince was going to explode. Feng Sun immediately said, All right, Boss Jun, please calm down. I'm leaving now. He rushed out of the room, but he could still feel how frustrated the crown prince was. He quietly closed the door behind him. Leaning on the door, he took a deep breath and hurried to Feng Wu's side. Elder Hellion was talking to her. What happened? What's going on? Elder Hellion asked anxiously. Feng Wu suddenly asked, Our principal is here, right? Elder Hellion shook his head. Our 3 top cultivators are confronting their counterparts. No one can be distracted. If something went wrong, this fortress could be destroyed. Feng Wu looked around and saw they were alone. She said something to Elder Hellion, making his eyes pop. What? Elder Hellion jumped to his feet. How's that possible? He's the most talented person in our history. How? Feng Sun arrived at that moment. Xiao Wu, is it true? Has Boss Jun lost his power? Feng Wu nodded, then shook her head. There's no spiritual essence in him now, but it doesn't have to stay that way. Do you remember what happened to me? My ability was destroyed 5 years ago. When I recovered my cultivation ability, however, I made faster progress than before, and my bloodline also became the divine phoenix blood. Every cloud has a silver lining. Bad things may turn out for the good. Hearing that, everybody calmed down. Feng Sun said, Are you saying he has to start from scratch again? OMG, His Royal Highness was a spiritual saint. If he had to start from zero. Feng Wu said, I've checked his pulse. He's much better than I used to be. He won't need to repeat his cultivation process. When we find the match that'll light the spiritual essence, his spiritual essence will start circulating again. Feng Sun asked, Where's the match? Feng Wu stared at Feng Sun. Feng Sun suddenly remembered something. I remember. You used the immortal spiritual fruit. He still remembered how Feng Wu had pretended to be the ugly girl. It pained Feng Sun to realize that she had experienced what Boss Jun was experiencing now. You were... Feng Wu was so young back then, and Boss Jun wasn't in love with her yet. She had to do everything. He felt so sorry for her. Feng Wu said, That's why I know how Jun Linyuan feels now. He needs a quiet environment. He also needs to accept the reality and move on from his grief. He'll be on the rise again. Right now, he wouldn't let anybody approach him. Let's wait a few days. Things will be much easier when he's willing to talk to us. Feng Wu rubbed her forehead. She didn't know Jun Linyuan would be so unlucky. Chapter 3006, 3 Areas. Chapter 3006, 3 Areas. Feng Sun said, Xiao Wu, Boss Jun will recover, won't he? Feng Wu didn't know the answer, but she had to comfort Jun Linyuan. She knew Jun Linyuan must be listening to her. Therefore, she told Feng Sun, not only will he recover, he'll also be stronger than before, as long as we can find the immortal spiritual fruit. Feng Sun said, I'm on it. Feng Wu said, I remember the Dongsang Kingdom has some leads on the immortal spiritual fruit. You can look into it. Feng Sun nodded and left right away. Inside, Jun Linyuan smirked. Feng Wu, you're such a good liar now. Elder Hellion believed anything Feng Wu said now because she was a semi-divine medicine refiner. He said, Xiao Wu, why don't you stay here and keep His Royal Highness company? The other 3 elders weren't around, and he felt he couldn't take the responsibility all by himself. He was concerned about His Royal Highness. Thump! They heard something being smashed on the floor. Feng Wu could tell it was a candlestick. Feng Wu rubbed her forehead. Jun Linyuan was the proudest person, and she was probably the last person he wanted to see right now. If they found the immortal spiritual fruit, she could make a semi-divine essence pill to activate Jun Linyuan's energy channels again. His spiritual essence could circulate, and his strength would recover. What she didn't say was that Jun Linyuan was in the worst scenario he could be in. However, he was also very lucky. Feng Wu had added her heart's blood when making the enhancement pill, which was why Jun Linyuan's special bloodline was stirring. He would notice it when he calmed down. Feng Wu wasn't so worried anymore. She said, Chanzian told me earlier that I should stay with the current students. Elder Hellion wasn't familiar with that arrangement because it was too petty for someone of his status. He looked at Elder Wu. Elder Wu nodded. That's right. The East Wing is occupied by the military academy, and we have the West Wing. Our wing is divided into 3 areas, the lower, middle, and upper sections. The lower section is where the current students live. The middle section is for the graduates, and the upper one is where the generals and lieutenants live. To create a sense of competition, the living quarters of the 2 schools are separated by one passageway that runs from the south to the north. That is to say, wherever you stay, you can see the military academy students by simply looking across the passageway. This way, you can all learn and make progress from the competition. A map formed in Feng Wu's head. A straight lane running from south to north was separated into 3 sections. A portal was at the southern end, and the lower section was right next to it. Moving further north were the middle and upper sections. The border was at the northern end. The most capable cultivators were the closest to the border, probably because they were meant to protect the junior ones. Chapter 3007, How Obedient. Chapter 3007, How Obedient. Feng Wu nodded. I'll go to the lower section for now. As for Jun Linyuan, Feng Wu decided to let him calm down first while she searched for the immortal spiritual fruit. When she lost her cultivation ability, she shut herself in a room for 3 days before accepting reality. She wouldn't see anybody during those 3 days, and she knew Jun Linyuan felt the same right now. He was in much better condition than she was back then. If he paid attention, he could sense the terrifying bloodline that was dormant inside him. Hearing Feng Wu walking away, the crown prince punched the wall in frustration. Thump! Because he didn't have any spiritual essence, the punch did very little damage. Before, that punch would have destroyed the entire upper section, but now, he couldn't even shake the wall. Instead, he scraped his knuckles on the wall. He was so frustrated that he threw himself back on his bed. He could sense the power that was sealed inside his body and was trying to break free, but it couldn't find an outlet. He glared at the door, wondering why she had left so soon. She was never so obedient. He was so mad. Feng Wu had no idea how the crown prince felt right now. She could only deduce his reaction based on her own experience. When she lost her true phoenix blood, she wished she were dead. She didn't want to see anybody and felt everybody was laughing at her. Therefore, she decided to give Jun Linyuan some privacy. Little did she know that the crown prince was tossing and turning in bed. Feng Wu arrived at the lower section. Somebody rushed toward her before she entered. Xiao Wu, Xiao Wu. It was Chen Ziyun. He called her name as he ran toward her. The boy was almost in tears. He was thrilled to see Feng Wu. Xiao Wu, how's His Royal Highness? Is he all right? Chen Ziyun asked. Ever since Feng Wu cut off an enemy's head and chopped the other one in half, her team members all worshipped her. Sun Yu and the others came out to greet Feng Wu too. There were other students of Class A, but they had been in Peace Grassland for a while, so they didn't know Feng Wu well. Of course, Feng Wu wouldn't tell them Junlin Yuan's actual condition. Everybody would panic if they knew the truth. Feng Wu cleared her throat. His Royal Highness is doing well. He'll make a full recovery soon and will be more powerful than before. Everybody was exhilarated. Chun Yun said, "We asked around about Night Owl, and they said he wasn't doing well. Maybe that explosion will kill him in the end." The mention of Night Owl's name made Feng Wu angry. That man was so ruthless, both to other people and to himself. Only such a man could defeat the other princes and become the crown prince of the Dongsang Kingdom. Feng Wu's eyes glinted. Night Owl had pissed her off, and she would never forgive him. Chapter 3008, Dayless Woods. Chapter 3008, Dayless Woods. Just then, 3 people arrived. Chun Ziyun, one of them said. Chun Ziyun turned around and saw he knew 2 of the 3 people. One was Senior Brother Min, who had explained to him how the competition worked. The other one was Senior Sister Lan, that unfriendly graduate. He didn't know the third person, but that person held a sword and behaved rather aloof. However, Senior Sister Lan respected him, and he seemed to think very highly of himself. Chun Ziyun walked up to them. He soon came back and asked Feng Wu, "Xiao Wu, they're holding a hunt. Would you like to join us?" A hunt. Feng Wu's first reaction was to say no. She didn't have that kind of time now. Chun Ziyun said, "It's not what you think. We're hunting the people of the Dongsang Kingdom." "What?" Feng Wu was perplexed. Chun Ziyun said, "We usually go in teams of 5. A little to the west of the border is the Dayless Woods. Do you remember the arena? It's in the middle of the borders." Feng Wu nodded. Chun Ziyun said, "To the left of the arena is the vast grassland, and the Dayless Woods is on the right." Feng Wu thought about it. Why did that name sound so familiar? Where had she heard it before? It sounded like an important name. Feng Wu searched her memory. Chun Ziyun didn't notice her reaction and went on with the explanation. At the center of the Dayless Woods is an erupting volcano. The crater is small, but the eruption is quite powerful. The Dayless Woods is about 6,000 square kilometers in size. Half of it is in the Junwu Empire, and the other half is in the Dongsang Kingdom. 6,000 square kilometers was about the size of a city. Because it's a good place to hide, teams of both sides often fight there, ambushing and assassinating one another. It's a great opportunity to win rewards. The Dayless Woods is divided into 3 circles. Current students like us can only stay in the outer circle, but look. Chun Ziyun pointed at the 3 people. Their previous teammates are injured, and they need more people. If we go with them, we can enter the middle ring. Most people fighting there are spiritual kings. Xiao Wu, shall we give it a go? Feng Wu wasn't interested in hunting the Dongsang people. After all, she hadn't been there during the war 14 years ago. A thought suddenly struck her. The Dayless Woods. That name. She finally remembered where she had heard it. She had caught 5 spies in the secret essence mine, and when she interrogated them with her potion, they mentioned the immortal spiritual fruit. That was right. They had been mumbling a little, but Feng Wu recalled it now. It was the Dayless Woods. The second immortal spiritual fruit was in the Dayless Woods. Feng Wu's eyes lit up. She forgot about the living quarters and told Chun Ziyun, "Let's go to the Dayless Woods right now." Chapter 3009, We're Not Going. Chapter 3009, We're Not Going. The other students envied Feng Wu and Chun Ziyun as they watched them leave. Sun Yu and the other team members all sighed inwardly. They had been to Peace Grassland several times, but they weren't spiritual kings yet. Even if they entered the Dayless Woods, they could only stay in the outer ring. Neither the Junwu Empire nor the Dongsang Kingdom was interested in killing current students. Maybe the bosses had made some sort of an agreement. One wouldn't receive any rewards for killing cultivators with much lower cultivation levels. Not only that, their current achievements would also be deducted. If they lost too many points, their military rankings would drop. No one would do such things unless they really hated somebody. It was to protect the current students. Therefore, current students were mostly ignored in Peace Grassland. Spiritual kings were the chief fighters during this war. Feng Wu and her team headed for the Dayless Woods. There were 5 of them. The first one was the short-tempered senior sister Lan, a level 3 spiritual king. The second one was the good-natured senior brother Min, a level 2 spiritual king. The third one was Chun Ziyun, a level 1 spiritual king. The fourth one was Feng Wu, a peak level 2 spiritual king. Feng Wu was curious when she saw senior sister Lan fawning on the proud senior student. He's the only level 4 spiritual king on our team, Chun Ziyun whispered. Senior sister Lan frowned when she heard their murmurs. She turned around, glaring at Feng Wu. Let me be clear. Feng Wu was perplexed. Senior sister Lan walked up to Feng Wu and looked down at her. You're on this team as an exception. If we weren't in need of 2 members, you would never have been allowed to come. Feng Wu sighed. Chun Ziyun didn't like her tone. Senior sister Lan, Xiao Wu is very capable. Back then, in the arena, senior sister Lan glared at Feng Wu. If you hadn't shown your little tricks in the fights, you wouldn't be qualified to come with us. I didn't participate in the battle. If I did, you wouldn't stand a chance. Senior sister Lan said arrogantly. Chun Ziyun was speechless. It wasn't like that. Although senior sister Lan was a spiritual king, she was over 20 years old and couldn't fight in that battle. Xiao was only 14. Senior sister Lan said, I'm level 3, and you're only level 2. Once we get there, you must follow my instructions. Chun Ziyun thought, why would a level 3 spiritual king brag about herself in front of a peak level 2 spiritual king? Why is she so arrogant? He wanted to talk back to senior sister Lan, but Feng Wu tugged at his sleeve and shook her head. Chun Ziyun decided to stand up for Feng Wu. Senior sister Lan, if you're behaving this way, we won't go with you. Senior sister Lan found those words idiotic. Are you sure? Chun Ziyun said, yes. We're not going. You can find your own teammates. Senior sister Lan's face turned livid. Chapter 3010 Battle in the Dayless Woods. Chapter 3010 Battle in the Dayless Woods. The level 4 senior brother cast a stern look at senior sister Lan. You talk too much. Senior sister Lan immediately stopped talking. She gave Feng Wu a dirty look before going to stand next to the senior brother. Senior brother Min tried to mediate. He told Chun Ziyun, we've already entered the outer ring, and you've paid your entrance fee. It'll be such a waste if you go back empty-handed. He then lowered his voice and pointed at the unapproachable teenager. That's senior brother Ing. With his help, we can gain a lot of points. You won't come across such an opportunity every day. Feng Wu was here for the immortal spiritual fruit and couldn't care less about senior sister Lan's attitude. She nodded at Chun Ziyun. Let's go. Hearing that, Chun Ziyun didn't have any more objections. However, he decided to follow Feng Wu closely so that senior sister Lan wouldn't disrespect her again. They headed for the middle ring. They would run into other students, magical beasts, and even assassins of the Dongseng Kingdom from time to time. But senior brother Ing ignored all of them. He seemed to have a specific target for this trip. They marched on without taking any breaks. A few hours later, they finally reached the middle ring. The deeper they went into the woods, the denser the trees became. Above them were layers upon layers of canopy. The leaves blocked out most of the sunlight. All of a sudden, thud, they heard a small noise nearby. Senior brother Ing stopped. Who's there? No one saw how he moved, but when they could see him again, he was holding someone in his hand. I'm from a Junwu Empire, too. Don't kill me. It was a familiar voice. Feng Wu raised her eyebrows. Wasn't that Sheng Changtian? As soon as he heard the language of the Junwu Empire and sensed the familiar spiritual essence, senior brother Ing threw senior brother Ing to the ground. Why are you sneaking around? Poor Sheng Chan Tian. He had been so arrogant during the competition against Imperial College. Senior brother Ing threw him to the ground like a rag doll, but he didn't dare say a word. For more people showed up before he could do anything. Chan Tian, are you all right? Ing Yuan, how dare you attack a man from the military academy? Two people spoke at the same time. One of them was a pretty fair-skinned girl with big eyes. The other person's face had turned livid. Feng Wu could tell he was the most capable member of the team and possibly the team leader. She was right. That young man was Song Yao, the leader of Sheng Chantian's team. Imperial College and Military Academy had always had a competitive relationship. When fighting the Dongseng Kingdom, they would join hands. However, when it didn't concern the Dongseng Kingdom, they would turn on each other. The two schools weren't allowed to compete head-on in Peace Grassland, but they were allowed to compete in their military rankings and the rewards they received. The competition had been quite intense. Ing Yuan and Song Yao glared at each other. Chapter 3011. Is she here? Chapter 3011. Is she here? Feng Wu frowned when she saw their reactions. She asked Chen Ziyun, do we earn rewards if we defeat the people of the military academy? Chen Ziyun shook his head. No, that only happens when we defeat the people of the Dongseng Kingdom. Feng Wu said, aren't we here to earn rewards? If we can't get anything out of a battle, why should we bother to fight? Why don't we beat each other up in the fortress? That was right. Hearing that, everybody calmed down and no longer wanted to cut their opponent's throat. Song Yao glanced at Ing Yuan. We won't help you if you run into danger here. Let's go. He led the other 4 team members into the woods. Senior sister Lan smirked. Help us? They'll be the ones who need help. Their journey resumed. Feng Wu observed her surroundings and memorized all the paths they had taken. It was vital that she didn't lose her way in the woods. Senior sister Lan looked back at Feng Wu and smirked. She told senior brother Min, do you see what that fool is doing? She's trying to memorize the routes. Doesn't she know how complicated the terrain is? No one can remember what paths they've taken. Senior brother Min felt embarrassed and didn't want to reply. However, senior sister Lan wouldn't stop talking. I can't believe how stupid she is. Doesn't she know we have a built-in compass in our armband? We can walk out of the Daedalus woods just by following it. Instead, she's using her brain. She's hopeless. Senior sister Lan was hostile toward Feng Wu because she was jealous of the girl. Feng Wu raised an eyebrow. What if the armband is broken? Don't make me laugh. How can it be broken? Senior sister Lan found that suggestion idiotic. Feng Wu asked Chen Ziyun, do we have a repair service office for the armbands? Chen Ziyun said, yes. It's in the exchange office. Feng Wu glanced at senior sister Lan, who looked like she was being choked and couldn't say a word. Soon, she sneered at Feng Wu. Only people with low cultivation levels like you will get caught and break your armband. Senior cultivators like us will never let that happen. Feng Wu nodded and ignored her. She already knew how to handle somebody like senior sister Lan. They always thought other people were as foolish as they were. Feng Wu only needed an opportunity to defeat her once and for all. She didn't need to waste her spit. Look, an essence crystal. Senior sister Lan picked up a crystal from a crack in a rock, looking pleasantly surprised. Look, lucky. Feng Wu looked at the essence crystal. It was her first time seeing one, and she immediately saw that the essence crystal was denser and purer than spiritual stones. Meanwhile, in the general's quarters of the fortress, the crown prince was tossing and turning in bed. Feng Sun had been eavesdropping outside for a while. Hearing the noise, he decided to pop in and have a look. What if Boss Jun wanted to kill himself? Knock, knock, knock. Feng Sun tapped on the door. The sulking crown prince suddenly sat up. Was she back? Chapter 3012. Essence Crystal. Chapter 3012. Essence Crystal. It was too late for her to act like this now. The crown prince lay back down and threw the blanket over his head. He wouldn't forgive her that easily. Knock, knock, knock. Hearing no reply, Feng Sun pushed the door open. Meanwhile, in the Daedalus woods, Chunziun was explaining to Feng Wu, essence crystals are more advanced than spiritual stones and can only be found in special locations like Peace Grassland. They're scattered throughout the Daedalus Woods. There are very few in the outer ring, and we can find more if we move closer to the center. A substance like this can only grow in the Daedalus Woods. Chunziun pointed at the erupting volcano. Feng Wu understood what he meant. That was why the Daedalus Woods attracted so many people, and no wonder cultivators always made rapid progress when they came to Peace Grassland. It wasn't a surprise that they were all drawn here. Chunziun said, everybody is looking for the essence crystals, including people of the Dongseng Kingdom. People are always dying in these woods. The weaker cultivators will stay in the outer ring, while those who think they're strong enough will go deeper into the woods. Everybody gives all they can to look for essence crystals or kill their enemies so that they can get their enemy's essence crystals. When one kills their enemy, they can take the latter's essence crystals and the rewards can be turned into points. With enough points, we can rise to a higher military ranking, which gives us access to more cultivation resources and weapons. We haven't graduated yet, but our points still count. If we can accumulate enough points, we can graduate directly or reach a higher military ranking. We had a senior brother who rose from being a current student to a captain in the army. It was amazing. Senior sister Lon rolled her eyes. This Feng Wu didn't know anything. She was useless. She needed someone to teach her the most basic thing on the scene. She was just a pretty face. Chunziun said, Xiao Wu, you're so lucky. I'm sure you'll find plenty of essence crystals. The crown prince was in love with her. No one could be luckier than she was. Senior sister Lon smirked. Plenty? Do you know how many people leave this place empty-handed? Feng Wu gave her a strange look. Senior sister Lon stared at her. Why are you looking at me? Feng Wu said, Can you move aside? Senior sister Lon smirked. What did you say? For a current student, you're very bold. How dare you tell me to make way for you? Feng Wu frowned and cut her off. You're in my way. I need that essence crystal. Senior sister Lon laughed. Is this a joke? Let me tell you how rare essence crystals are. Before she could finish, Feng Wu crouched down and picked up a stone the size of a fingernail. She asked Chunziun, Is this an essence crystal? Senior sister Lon laughed. She couldn't believe she had such a foolish teammate. Did she just call a random stone an essence crystal? Chapter 3013, Lucky Girl. Chapter 3013, Lucky Girl. Senior sister Lon almost felt sorry for Feng Wu. However, Chunziun screamed. Everybody stared at him. Senior sister Lon was furious and smacked him on the head. Shut up. Don't you know where we are? Do you want to tell everybody we're here? She was right. The Daedalus Woods were filled with enemies. If the people of the Dongseng Kingdom heard them, they could ambush the team and annihilate them. Senior sister Lan's smack nearly knocked Chunziun unconscious. He finally calmed down, but he still pointed at the small rock in Feng Wu's hand. It was covered with mud. Senior sister Lon smirked. It's just a stone. Do you really think that's an essence crystal? When Chunziun wiped away the dirt, the light almost blinded senior sister Lon. An essence crystal? Gosh, it's an essence crystal. Senior sister Lon and senior brother Min stared at Feng Wu in astonishment. They both shouted out loud, which showed how shocked they were. Senior sister Lon was mortified. She stared at Feng Wu in disbelief. You only found a small rock. How did you find it? She glared at Feng Wu. Feng Wu said innocently, I just bent over and picked it up. Is that hard? Senior sister Lon said, You. Chunziun was happy for Feng Wu and handed the essence crystal back to her after wiping it clean. Put away. It's very hard to come back here. Someone who stays in the outer ring would consider themselves very lucky to find one essence crystal on a trip. A cultivator exploring the middle ring usually won't find more than 3 essence crystals. We just got here, and you found one. You're the luckiest girl. Chunziun couldn't stop admiring Feng Wu. Senior sister Lon smirked. It was just beginner's luck. She's not the only one who found an essence crystal. She thought, I found a first essence crystal. I'm the luckiest girl. Chun Zian glanced at senior sister Lan and insisted, Xiao Wu is blessed by the goddess of luck. Senior sister Lan was furious. She wouldn't argue with this stupid junior brother. Reality would teach them a lesson. Ying Yuan frowned. Be quiet. We'll keep moving. Ying Yuan was a level 4 spiritual king, and senior sister Lan immediately stopped talking. The members were quite friendly when senior sister Lan didn't try to start an argument. Feng Wu suddenly frowned and moved to the left. Senior sister Lan lost her temper when she saw that Feng Wu wasn't following the path. You idiot! Didn't you hear us? You're slowing us down. However, Feng Wu started digging with a dagger. Before senior sister Lan could say anything, Feng Wu picked up another small black stone. Chapter 3014, Such a Girl. Chapter 3014, Such a Girl. A little black rock. Senior sister Lan frowned at Feng Wu. It's just a dirty little rock. Chun Zian wiped the mud off the rock. Senior sister Lan was speechless. It was another essence crystal. Senior sister Lan was astonished. She always saw Feng Wu as just a pretty face and couldn't believe she could be so lucky. Even Ying Yuan, who had remained indifferent until now, looked at Feng Wu in amazement. When Feng Wu met his gaze, he abruptly turned his head and looked away, pretending not to notice her. His ears turned pink. The stunning girl had given him a lot of pressure, but he still managed to maintain a nonchalant demeanor. Because everybody was focusing on Feng Wu, no one noticed Ying Yuan's strange behavior. Ying Yuan only stole another glimpse at Feng Wu when senior sister Lan talked to her. Senior sister Lan's eyes were wide open. She stared at Feng Wu. How did you know it was an essence crystal? Feng Wu said innocently, I got lucky, I guess. Senior sister Lan found that excuse acceptable. She smirked. You have some luck, I'll give you that, but that's it. You can't count on just luck. It'll leave you at your happiest moment. Senior sister Lan was jealous of Feng Wu, but she couldn't tell what she was jealous about. Nothing about Feng Wu seemed right. Her mere existence offended senior sister Lan. Chun Ziyun was annoyed. Senior sister Lan, why do I feel you're targeting Xiao Wu? He decided to call her Xiao Wu while he still could. Once they returned, the crown prince wouldn't want to hear that. Senior sister Lan couldn't believe her ears. Targeting her? Chun Ziyun, are you blind? Who the hell does she think she is? Why should I be jealous of her? Are you saying she's better than me? Chun Ziyun nodded without hesitation. Yes. Senior brother Min burst out laughing. Senior sister Lan threw a dirty look at him. Senior brother Min had always been scared of senior sister Lan, so he immediately turned to the other side. If one looked closely, one would see his shoulders shaking with silent laughter. Senior sister Lan glowered at Chun Ziyun. Why do you say she's better than me? She pressed him for an answer. Chun Ziyun was about to tell the truth when Ying Yuan said grimly, keep shouting at each other if you want to die here. Everybody stopped talking. Senior sister Lan thought, Ying Yuan is still on my side. As for Chun Ziyun, I'll make him pay for this. Ying Yuan cast a stern look at senior sister Lan, finding her such a troublemaker. His gaze briefly landed on Feng Wu's face before he awkwardly looked away again. His tones softened a little. Let's go. He was the first to set out. Senior sister Lan quickly followed him. Ying Yuan glanced at her, feeling disappointed. Senior sister Lan didn't know what he was thinking. She smiled at him and said, it was all my fault. I shouldn't have let such a girl join our team. Let's ignore her. Such a girl. Ying Yuan frowned. Chapter 3015, Targeted. Chapter 3015, Targeted. Senior sister Lan deliberately raised her voice so that the others could hear her. Lucky won't change the fact that she's a weakling. A level 2 spiritual king isn't worth mentioning in this team. She's so ignorant. Senior sister Lan glanced back at Feng Wu as she spoke. Chun Ziyan almost lost his temper right there and then. Nobody responded, and Senior Sister Lon was displeased. She needed somebody to chime in, but nobody would back her up. As a result, she only looked like a bully who was picking on Feng Wu for no reason. How awkward. Senior Sister Lon glared at Senior Brother Min, but his eyes darted around and he wouldn't meet her gaze. Senior Sister Lon was shocked. Feng Wu suddenly frowned and warned the others, "Watch out." Everyone stared at Feng Wu in astonishment. Feng Wu said, "Some assassins are coming from the northeast. They're from the Dongsang Kingdom." Senior Sister Lon looked at Senior Brother Ing, who shook his head. Senior Sister Lon assumed an arrogant demeanor and glared at Feng Wu. "Can you stop acting? Making yourself the center of attention won't help you with your popularity. We'll only find you annoying. Watch out." Feng Wu ignored Senior Sister Lon. Grabbing Qin Ziyun and Senior Brother Min with each hand, she dragged them behind a tree. Thump! The attackers came from the northeast. Senior Brother Ying's sword clashed with the attackers, sending sparks flying everywhere. There were two attackers, and both were exceptionally capable. One was a level 4 spiritual king, like Senior Brother Ing, and the other one was a peak level 3 spiritual king. His target was Feng Wu, who had become well known in the Dongsang Kingdom because of her achievements in the battle. Even Feng Wu herself didn't know the price on her head at the moment. Because Feng Wu dodged in time, the assassin charged at Senior Sister Lon instead. Senior Sister Lon reacted in time and tilted her head. The blade still brushed past her head and scraped off her hair. She only had half a head of hair now. Senior Sister Lon hadn't noticed what had happened to her. She only turned around and stared at the assassin in astonishment. When she touched her head, she couldn't believe what had happened. "Where's my hair?" She was so furious that she charged at the assassin. The assassin was equally frustrated. His target wasn't this sword-wielding woman. He wanted Feng Wu's head to claim the reward. However, Senior Sister Lon was frantically attacking him, and he had to fight back. It was a fierce battle. Feng Wu was struck by a thought when she saw the assassin giving her quick glances all the time. Could it be? Right at that moment, an arrow was shot in Feng Wu's direction. She was the target. Feng Wu's stomach lurched, and she finally realized where the strange feeling came from. She was their mark. Senior Sister Lon hadn't realized it, but Feng Wu was very certain. She dodged the arrow and sprang off, running after the person who shot the arrow at her. Chapter 30:16. Lead on the Immortal Spiritual Fruit. Chapter 30:16. Lead on the Immortal Spiritual Fruit. Feng Wu sprang off. The arrow was shot by a Dongsang teenage girl. She smirked maliciously when she saw Feng Wu coming at her. She's just a spiritual king. Does she have a death wish or something? She pointed her bow at Feng Wu's face and shot 3 arrows in a row. However, Feng Wu moved faster than the girl could imagine. The next moment, Feng Wu stepped on the arrows and landed in front of her. "You!" Feng Wu put a dagger to the girl's throat. "Am I your mark?" Feng Wu smirked. The girl struggled, but to no avail. She glared at Feng Wu and ground her teeth. "Kill me now." Feng Wu asked, "Why am I your target?" The girl snorted. "You're a wanted woman." Feng Wu, a level 2 spiritual king. Your head is worth 1,000 points. You're very valuable. The girl glared at Feng Wu. "I've told you what you want to know. Let go of me." Feng Wu suddenly asked, "Have you heard of the immortal spiritual fruit?" "The immortal spiritual fruit?" The girl stared at Feng Wu. "Are you looking for it? Do you think I'll tell you?" Feng Wu said, "You know then." The girl said, "I'd rather die than tell you anything." Feng Wu shook her head. "I won't kill you. You're going to tell me what I need to know." The girl didn't believe her. When Feng Wu injected the truth serum into the girl's neck, the girl panicked. "Let go of me. What are you doing?" Feng Wu had enhanced the truth serum, and it took effect much more quickly than before. In less than a minute, the girl turned red and drooled, unable to control herself. Feng Wu pressed the girl to a tree. "Your name?" "Doya." "Your target." "Kill Feng Wu. Claim the reward." Feng Wu stared at her. "Tell me everything you know." The girl bit her lip, but couldn't resist in the end. The Crown Prince is looking for the immortal spiritual fruit to treat his condition. Feng Wu narrowed her eyes. The Crown Prince? As a night owl? Doya nodded. He's lost some ability. Needs the immortal spiritual fruit. Feng Wu's eyes lit up. A thought struck her. During the battle between Jun Linyuan and Night Owl, the latter turned himself into a bomb at the last moment. At first, Feng Wu thought he wanted to kill Jun Linyuan at the price of his own life, but it occurred to her now that Night Owl probably knew he could find the immortal spiritual fruit in the Dalus Woods. He might even know the exact location. That was why he chose to self-detonate. He wanted to kill Jun Linyuan and use the immortal spiritual fruit to recover his strength. Feng Wu was even angrier now. That Night Owl was abominable. Doya ground her teeth and glared at Feng Wu. Feng Wu said, "Not many people would know about Night Owl's plan. How do you know it? What's your relationship with him?" Doya didn't want to tell her, but she couldn't control her mind. "I'm Mu Yan's maid. I won't tell you." Chapter 3017. I'll keep them. Chapter 3017. I'll keep them. Doya smashed her head against a tree. Feng Wu didn't stop her, and the girl killed herself. Feng Wu knew the Dongsang people could easily go to extremes, and it wasn't uncommon that they would try to prove their devotion by taking their own lives. Chun Ziyun and the others arrived. Feng Wu asked, "Did you kill them?" The others were speechless. Chun Ziyun said no. They got away. Feng Wu frowned. How did that happen? She had learned from Doya that she was the target of the assassins. Now that they had escaped, they were probably assembling more people for the next attack. Senior Sister Lan glared at Feng Wu. "Who do you think we are? We can't defeat a Dongsang cultivator at the same cultivation level as us. They have much better weapons. If you don't know that, keep your mouth shut. You're only making yourself look like a fool." Feng Wu was speechless. Chun Ziyun saw a person who had fallen on the ground, and he went to examine her. "She's dead." Chun Ziyun raised his eyebrows when he saw Doya's epaulette. "She's a major. She has to be a level 3 spiritual king." He then asked deliberately, "Xiao Wu, you killed her, didn't you? You killed an enemy above your cultivation level again." Again. He was reminding Senior Sister Lan that Feng Wu had killed a level 3 spiritual king during the battle. She was also a level 3 spiritual king, so she should stop using that condescending tone. Feng Wu didn't deny it. Although Doya had killed herself, she wouldn't have stood a chance in a battle against Feng Wu. Senior Sister Lan wanted to say something, but she felt a chill run down her spine when she saw the Dongsang girl's bloody head. She gave Feng Wu an indignant look, but didn't say another word. Chun Ziyun removed Doya's badge and put it in Feng Wu's backpack. He then opened Doya's bag. Apart from food and water, there was something else. Essence crystals. Chun Ziyun cried out. She was quite a wealthy girl. There are 5 in her bag. A major had to be extremely lucky to bring 5 essence crystals out of these woods. Senior Sister Lan was so jealous that her eyes turned red. "Let me have a look." Senior Sister Lan snatched the essence crystals from Chun Ziyun. She examined them, hoping they were fake, but not only were they genuine, they also had a high purity level. They couldn't be fake. Senior Sister Lan was furious. She couldn't understand why Feng Wu was so lucky. She had killed an enemy with a higher cultivation level and found these essence crystals. Not only that, she was also so pretty. How could she have everything? She never competed with other people, but she was better than all of them. Senior Sister Lan threw a dirty look at Feng Wu. What a poser. Feng Wu was speechless. She couldn't understand how she had offended this senior sister, but she couldn't bring herself to lower herself to Senior Sister Lan's level. Senior Brother Ing cast a stern look at Senior Sister Lan. "Can you be quiet for a minute?" Senior Sister Lan almost burst into tears. She couldn't understand why she was always the one getting the blame. Frustrated, she glowered at Chun Ziyun. "I'll keep the essence crystals for now. Chapter 3019. Who is that? Chapter 3019. Who is that? Feng Wu knew this battle wasn't like what she had experienced so far. She had to give it her all and kill them all. Otherwise, if they leaked the news, more people would come here to kill her. Feng Wu heard a scream. Turning around, she saw Chen Ziyun's right arm cut open by a sword, and blood gushed out. Feng Wu frowned. Chen Ziyun had been kind to her and had run around for her ever since they met. Feng Wu could stand it when other people were unkind to her. She could always stop enduring them and get back at them for what they did. However, she felt uneasy when other people treated her nicely. She would remember how they had helped her and would make sure she returned the favor. Otherwise, she would feel guilty. Therefore, she was furious when she saw that Chen Ziyun was injured. A level 3 spiritual king was staring at her with a malicious grin. He said, "What a nice chick." Before he could continue, Feng Wu leaped into the air and struck him with her sword. The blade cut his head open as if it was a watermelon. The Junwu Empire and the Dongxing Kingdom were enemies. In this battle, only one side could survive. Feng Wu didn't stop there. Senior brother Ying was surrounded by 5 enemies, so he hadn't noticed Feng Wu's battle. 5 level 3 spiritual kings made a formidable force. Senior brother Ying wasn't their match and was already suffering many injuries. They're the 2 assassins from earlier. Run! Senior brother Ying was surrounded and knew he couldn't defeat his enemies, so he shouted at Feng Wu, "Don't fight them! Run! Get out of here!" He wasn't a particularly selfless person, but when he saw the assassins charging at Feng Wu, he ran toward her, trying to stop the level 3 spiritual kings. The assassins knew he was the most capable member of the team, so they all came at him. They thought if they took him down, they would win the battle. Senior brother Ying was also fighting a level 4 spiritual king. It was so hopeless. Senior sister Lan panicked. She couldn't exert her real capability and was losing ground. She wanted to flee, but she slipped and fell. Gosh, her head went blank. "I'm gonna die." She saw the assassin raise his saber and strike down at her head. She lost all strength and couldn't move a muscle. She wanted to dodge, but was scared out of her wits. At that critical moment, someone dashed toward her. She swung her sword when she ran past Senior Sister Lan. Yes. Senior Sister Lan saw the person's shadow on the ground and saw the casual movement of her hand. The next moment, the assassin raising his saber no longer had a head. What the hell? Senior Sister Lan looked up and saw the head falling toward her and smashing into her face. His mouth fell on hers. Senior Sister Lan fell back in fear, and the head fell into her arms. She was so scared that she was almost in tears. Who was her savior? Chapter 3020, Shocked. Chapter 3020, Shocked. When Senior Sister Lan looked up, she was shocked by what she saw. That person was. No, it can't be. Something must have gone wrong. How can it be Feng Wu? Senior Sister Lan was so astonished that she forgot what was in her hands until she looked down and saw the head. She screamed again, but nobody cared about her. They were all busy fighting. Chen Ziyun and Senior Brother Min were the less capable members of the team, but they were fighting as hard as they could. Their clothes were spotted with blood. Senior Sister Lan didn't stand up because her legs had given in. She looked at Senior Brother Ying, who was fighting a short distance away. She couldn't believe her eyes. Surely, she was dreaming. That was the only explanation for seeing Feng Wu wielding her fallen star sword. She only knew 3 stances, but she cut off one head after another. 1, 2, 3. There was one on the ground and one in her arms. 5 men had lost their heads, and Feng Wu killed all of them. Senior Sister Lan trembled uncontrollably. Oh God, was that really Feng Wu? Feng Wu felt her gaze, so she looked over her shoulder at Senior Sister Lan, and that glance scared Senior Sister Lan out of her wits. It really is her. Only Senior Sister Lan could describe her feelings. Feng Wu moved fast and killed even faster. Before long, The only ones left were the level 4 spiritual king and a level 3 one who was fighting Chen Ziyun. Senior brother Ing was completely blown away. He had been under a lot of pressure at first. He had been stabbed a few times and could be killed within seconds. However, Feng Wu showed up and everything changed. He was very certain that Feng Wu was as capable as he was. She was supposed to be a level 2 spiritual king. Senior brother Ing felt both frustrated and awed. Meanwhile, Feng Wu stared at the level 4 spiritual king and smirked. She deliberately made a mistake in her movements. The assassin saw his chance, smirked, and ran out of Feng Wu's attack range like an eel. He soon disappeared into the woods. He smirked while running away. "We'll be back." Senior brother Ing wanted to go after him, but Feng Wu beat him to it. Senior brother Ing was about to follow them when senior sister Lan shouted, "Chen Ziyun, watch out." Senior brother Ing looked in Chen Ziyun's direction. When he looked for Feng Wu and the assassin again, they were nowhere to be found. Senior brother Ing cast a stern look at senior sister Lan. Senior sister Lan cried, "Senior brother Ing, please help us. We can't hold them back anymore. I hope Feng Wu can come back soon." Senior brother Ing sighed inwardly. He had to help Chen Ziyun and the others. With senior brother Ying's help, the level 3 spiritual king wasn't going anywhere. Seeing that he would be caught, the man stabbed his saber into his stomach. He would rather die than become a captive. That was how proud the men of Dongseng were. Chapter 3021, Suicide Mission. Chapter 3021, Suicide Mission. Senior brother Ing had seen many Dongseng men do that before, so he only frowned and didn't make a comment. "Where's Xiao Wu?" Chen Ziyun rushed over and looked around. He was frightened out of his wits when he couldn't find Feng Wu anywhere. Senior sister Lan snorted. That assassin escaped, and she went after him. "Don't look at me like that." She wanted to chase him. "I didn't do anything." Senior sister Lan didn't sound very confident. Senior brother Ing hadn't been able to follow Feng Wu because senior sister Lan had distracted him. "Which direction?" Chen Ziyun was still bleeding. Senior sister Lan said grumpily, "Why do you want to know? It's not like you'll go after them." Chen Ziyun ignored her and turned to senior brother Ing. "Which way did Xiao Wu go?" Senior brother Ing bit his lip. He knew what Chen Ziyun wanted to do, but still gave him the direction. Chen Ziyun dashed off without hesitation. Senior sister Lan was astonished. She watched Chen Ziyun leave in disbelief. Is he an idiot? He's so weak and has been injured. Why to go to look for Feng Wu? Doesn't he know the woods is full of assassins? He could be killed. Senior brother Ing glanced at her. Do you think he didn't know that? Senior sister Lan looked at him in astonishment. Senior brother Ing said, "He knew that, but he still went. He's a braver man than me." Senior sister Lan said, "He's a fool." Was he? Senior brother Ing smiled bitterly. He envied and admired Chen Ziyun for what he did. Feng Wu ran after the assassin. When the level 4 spiritual king looked over his shoulder, his eyes lit up. Only one person was chasing him, and it was the pretty level 2 girl. Huh. He stopped running, turned around, and charged at Feng Wu. There was a price on her head. Only junior and intermediate spiritual kings could enter this area. The senior ones had been taken to another battlefield. The assassin thought he could catch Feng Wu without breaking a sweat. To his surprise, Feng Wu was swifter than he thought. She dodged the attack and drew out the fallen star sword. They exchanged dozens of blows within seconds. The assassin was shocked. What? He was a level 4 spiritual king, and she was only at level 2. Why couldn't he defeat her? He was trying to figure out when. What? He stared at Feng Wu in disbelief. She made a breakthrough right in front of him. She rose from a peak level 2 spiritual king to a level 3 spiritual king. He couldn't believe what had happened. Who is she? You. The assassin stared at Feng Wu. This can't be happening. Their battle had been a draw when she was a level 2. Now that they were only one level apart, Feng Wu immediately gained the upper hand. Fallen Star Sword sealed the deal. Ground control. The assassin had turned around to capture Feng Wu, but he became the captive instead. It was practically a suicide mission. Chapter 3022, Blood is the Medicine. Chapter 3022, Blood is the Medicine. The blade slid across the assassin's neck. Blood splashed on the ground. Feng Wu smiled at him, and the assassin shuddered. He turned to run, but he only made 2 steps before the fallen star sword made another cut on his throat. The first cut was horizontal, and this one was vertical. The 2 cuts made a cross on his neck. He panicked. The blood gushed out, and he couldn't get away. He wanted to stab himself with his sword. Feng Wu saw it coming and immediately kicked away the weapon. She also dislocated his joints and jaw. She wouldn't let him die so easily. You. The assassin lay on his stomach. He turned his head to glare at Feng Wu. Feng Wu smirked. I know you're here to kill me to claim the prize. Feng Wu crouched down and grinned at him. You. The assassin's mouth was full of blood. He wanted to bite off his tongue, but couldn't. Do you want me to put your jaw back? Feng Wu smiled. That's not easy, but it's doable. Have you heard of the immortal spiritual fruit? Feng Wu asked. She was asking everybody about the fruit. She knew this assassin had appeared at the same time as Doya. Since Doya was Mu Yan's maid, this assassin should be working for her too. His eyes glinted when he heard the fruit's name, but he immediately calmed down. What a pity. Feng Wu was watching him closely, and he couldn't hide anything. You've heard about that fruit, haven't you? No, the assassin denied it. Feng Wu put a large leaf on the ground, sat on it, and took out a bottle of truth serum. Taro, it's time to take your medicine. Feng Wu grinned. How do you know my name? The assassin could speak the Junwu Empire's language well. Feng Wu only said that name as a joke. Once the truth serum was used on Taro, he had to tell Feng Wu everything he knew. Other people wouldn't understand it, because he was speaking his own language now. Immortal spiritual fruit. No, in the central area. Miss Muyin collecting it. For the crown prince. You're wanted. Your blood is our medicine. Feng Wu frowned. Why is my blood a medicine? She stared at Taro. Divine phoenix blood. Miss Muyin says, change your blood. Feng Wu's stomach lurched. That was why all these people were coming after her. Somebody had told the Dongsing Kingdom about her divine phoenix blood. Who could it be? She had come here on short notice, and most people in Peace Grassland didn't know she had the divine phoenix blood. Even Elder Hellion might not know. How did the Dongsing Kingdom know? Who leaked the information? A thought struck Feng Wu. Could it be her? Chapter 3023, Level 3 Spiritual King. Chapter 3023, Level 3 Spiritual King. Who told you about my divine phoenix blood? Feng Wu stared at Taro. Taro didn't want to tell her, but the truth serum was too potent. His throat trembled, and he eventually said, I don't know. A girl from Junwu. Shan Jingfei. Feng Wu had expected to hear Zhuo Qingwan's name, but it turned out to be Shan Jingfei. Zhuo Qingwan must have told Shan Jingfei what happened, and Shan Jingfei leaked the information to the Dongseng Kingdom. Feng Wu took a deep breath. Jun Linyuan could give his life away for this empire, but these women had sided with their enemy because of their jealousy. Damn them. Where's Mu Yan? Feng Wu asked the most important question. Taro shook his head and fell silent. He was dead. She couldn't get any more information out of him. Just then, she heard footsteps coming from a short distance away. Xiao Wu. Xiao Wu. It was Chun Ziyun. He rushed to her side as soon as he spotted her. Are you all right? He then noticed the dead level 4 spiritual king. What a shock. Chun Ziyun was too astonished to speak. Chun Ziyun pointed at the man who had bled to death. He was the level 4 spiritual king who had almost slaughtered them. He didn't cover his face, so it was easy to recognize him. Feng Wu said, he's dead. Chun Ziyun stared at her. Did you? Feng Wu nodded. I killed him. Chun Ziyun said, aren't you a level 2 spiritual king? Feng Wu smiled at him. Are you sure about that? Chun Ziyun said, OMG. Are you level 3 now? Feng Wu said, yes. Chen Ziyun couldn't believe it. It had been minutes since they parted, and she made a breakthrough again. Who was this girl? Chen Ziyun already thought very highly of Feng Wu, but she could still surprise him. What could he do? Nothing. Seeing that Chen Ziyun's arms were bleeding, Feng Wu gave him a bottle of pills. Take this and smear something on your wounds. You can keep the rest, since you seem to be prone to injuries. Chen Ziyun was shocked again when he saw the pills. They were supreme level pills. Supreme level. He then remembered Feng Wu was a semi-divine medicine refiner, and understood why she could give away supreme level pills. She was such a great patron. The tiniest thing she gave him was worth bragging about for the rest of his life. Chen Ziyun was mortified when he remembered he used to be her team leader. However, he was thick-skinned enough to accept that fact. Chen Ziyun soon took care of his wounds. The next moment, he ran to Feng Wu's side. Boss Feng Wu, he was a commander. He's quite valuable. Chen Ziyun took out Taro's badge and put it in Feng Wu's backpack. He then opened Taro's bag. Jackpot! Chen Ziyun's eyes lit up. Chapter 3024 points. Chapter 3024 points. There were 15 essence crystals in that bag. It's true. The higher the risk, the higher the return. Chen Ziyun took out the essence crystals and wanted to put them in Feng Wu's bag, but Feng Wu shook her head. Not only that, she also took out Doya's badge and essence crystals before handing them to Chen Ziyun. What are you doing? Chen Ziyun was perplexed. Feng Wu said, I haven't graduated yet. They were right when they said I was only able to come here because of the senior members of the team. Therefore, all the essence crystals and badges should be considered rewards for the whole team. Feng Wu stuffed everything in Chen Ziyun's bag. Chen Ziyun's eyes widened. Do you know how many points these things are worth? Feng Wu didn't. To become a major, you need 6,000 points, and a lieutenant colonel needs 36,000 points. One major's badge is worth 600 points, and a lieutenant colonel's is worth 3,600 points. You can keep the essence crystals for your cultivation or exchange them for points. Each one is worth 100 points. You have 1 major's and 1 lieutenant colonel's badge, and 22 essence crystals. They're worth 6,400 points in total. You can become a major. It was very hard for ordinary people to obtain a higher military ranking, but Feng Wu was very capable, though a lieutenant colonel was too expensive. If Feng Wu went all out, she could become a major. Here in Peace Grassland, one's military ranking could determine the type of cultivation resources they could get and the level of the teams they could join. With a higher ranking, one had a higher chance of survival. Therefore, no one ever gave away their points. You found these on your own. They won't say anything even if you keep them. Chen Ziyun felt sorry for her. Feng Wu shook her head. They're just things. I don't want to owe anybody anything. Just share them among the team members. She then said, you should go with them. It's getting too dangerous for you to stay here. She knew she was the assassin's target. If she went with her team, she would only endanger their lives. She decided to go on her own. Chen Ziyun didn't know her plan. He still wanted to say something when Feng Wu shook her head. You should leave. I'm going to the central area to find the immortal spiritual fruit. Feng Wu patted Chen Ziyun's shoulder and ran out of sight. The central area? Chen Ziyun felt his hair stand up. Gosh, the central area? He had no choice but to return to his team. Senior Sister Lan was astonished to see him. You're alive. Where's Feng Wu? She's not dead, is she? Chen Ziyun glared at her. Are you blind or stupid? Didn't you see Xiao Wu kill all those assassins? If it wasn't for her, you wouldn't still have a head on your neck. Wake up. You, Senior Sister Lan, didn't know what to say. Chen Ziyun said, how could Xiao Wu be killed? She's more powerful than a level 4 spiritual king. Chapter 3025, I give up. Chapter 3025, I give up. I don't believe you. Senior Sister Lan snorted. See for yourself. Chen Ziyun took out his backpack and showed them the badges and essence crystals. So many. Senior Sister Lan frowned. Where did this lieutenant colonel's badge come from? Chun Ziyun sneered at her. Where do you think? Senior Sister Lan seemed to have realized something, but didn't want to admit it. How am I supposed to know? Chun Ziyun wouldn't let her evade the question. He smirked. Of course you don't. Xiao Wu found it. She killed that level 4 spiritual king assassin. Senior Sister Lan stared at Chun Ziyun and wanted to refute him, but when she recalled how easily Feng Wu had killed those assassins, she ground her teeth. So, she's finally willing to let other people keep her things. Senior Sister Lan smirked. Chun Ziyun glanced at her. Xiao Wu said she didn't want any of the 6,400 points. She's giving everything to our team. Senior Sister Lan wouldn't believe him. She can't be that generous. Chun Ziyun said, suit yourself. Xiao Wu is going her own way. From now on, she'll keep all the rewards to herself. Senior Sister Lan smirked. Fine, she's the generous one. I'd like to see how she'll get back alive. Chun Ziyun handed her a piece of paper. What's this? Senior Sister Lan frowned at him. Chun Ziyun said, you go back on your word a lot, so we'd better put it on paper. You. Senior Sister Lan was furious. Do you not believe me? Other people would have said no, but Chun Ziyun nodded. Yes, I don't believe you. Senior Brother Min almost burst out laughing. He only wiped the smile off his face when Senior Sister Lan glared at him. Senior Sister Lan smirked. You're worried that I'll ask Feng Wu to share her badges and essence crystals, aren't you? Chun Ziyun said, yes. Senior Sister Lan took a deep breath. I can't wait to see how many points she can earn. I'll sign it, and I'll make sure to spread the word around when I get back. By that, she meant she would slander Feng Wu. Chun Ziyun chuckled. Senior Sister Lan, I wouldn't do that if I were you. Feng Wu's patron was far beyond the reach of a level 3 spiritual king. Senior Sister Lan signed her name and ignored Chun Ziyun. Chun Ziyun asked both Senior Brother Ing and Senior Brother Min to sign it just to be sure. Senior Brother Min asked, I feel like I'm taking advantage of Feng Wu. Chun Ziyun said just sign it. He felt Feng Wu would surprise everybody this time. Senior Brother Ing picked up the pen and gave Chun Ziyun a long look. I give up the points. Senior Brother Ing then added, Feng Wu earned all the badges and essence crystals. I, Ing Yuan, am willing to give up on these points. Chun Ziyun felt Senior Brother Ing to be a much nicer person than Senior Sister Lan. He wouldn't give up on the points. Otherwise, Senior Sister Lan would take them all. Senior Sister Lan glared at Chun Ziyun. Why are you looking at me like that? Chapter 3026, Dragon Phoenix Blood. Chapter 3026, Dragon Phoenix Blood. Chun Ziyun said, Senior Brother Ing has waived his rights. Senior Sister Lan said angrily, Are you saying I should give up my rights too? Chun Ziyun said, Senior Brother Ing fought for us. What did you do? Feng Wu had to save you from the assassins. What did you say about her just then? Are you really going to take a share of her prize? Senior Sister Lan was furious. All right, I give up. Senior Sister Lan signed the paper. Whatever Feng Wu finds later will have nothing to do with me. If I make trouble for her because of that, may lightning strike me to death. Senior Sister Lan sounded very determined. Chun Ziyun said, Well, thank you very much. Senior Sister Lan said, You can save your energy for praying for Feng Wu. She didn't think Feng Wu could survive the trip on her own. In the fortress's general's quarters, the Crown Prince had a grumpy look on his face. Feng Sun gave him a tentative glance and racked his brain. Boss Jun didn't seem happy. Boss Jun, are you hungry? How about? He moved closer, grinning at Jun Lin Yuan. The Crown Prince glanced at him, then looked away, showing no emotion. Feng Sun was rendered speechless. Why did Boss Jun make him feel like an idiot? Boss Jun, you have to eat something, Feng Sun said patiently. You can't go months without eating like before. You were much more capable then. Feng Sun stopped abruptly, realizing what he had said. The Crown Prince gave him a grim look. Feng Sun was rendered speechless. He wanted to run away. How about I fetch Feng Wu? Feng Sun tried to find a scapegoat. This time, the Crown Prince stopped staring at him. So, Getting Feng Wu back here was an option. Feng Sun asked gingerly, "Shall I go get her now?" He backed away as he spoke. He quickly opened the door and shut it behind him. There was no yelling. Until now, the Crown Prince had been shouting at him. Feng Sun immediately went to find Feng Wu. She shouldn't be hard to find. However, Feng Sun arrived at the students' quarters, and she wasn't there. What? She went to the Dallas Woods? Feng Sun frowned. Why is she so busy? She engaged in several battles as soon as she came to Peace Grassland. And now, she was in the Dallas Woods. Luckily, current students can only stay in the outer ring, or she'd be in danger. Feng Sun was going to return to Junlin Yuan. Sun Yu said, "No, that's not where she is." A team from the Major's quarters needed some members, and they needed to go to the Dallas Woods. They took her and Chen Ziyun with them. What? Feng Sun's face darkened. Are they going to the middle ring? Feng Sun raised his voice. Sun Yu nodded. Feng Sun snapped. Is she an idiot? Doesn't she know she's still a student? The middle ring isn't for her. Young Lord Feng lost his temper, and the other students didn't dare make a sound. Sun Yu was no exception. Feng Sun stormed off to the general's quarters. Hearing footsteps, the Crown Prince snorted quietly. He touched his lower abdomen where his dantian lay. He hadn't lost his ability. A secret was hidden there. Feng told him when he was 16 that there was dragon phoenix blood inside him. However, it had never been activated. Chapter 3027. Where's Xiao Wu? Chapter 3027. Where's Xiao Wu? He thought, I'm not telling Feng Wu even if she comes in now. The door opened with a creak. The Crown Prince sat up and looked out the window. He wouldn't look at the door. Feng Sun came in, sat down next to the window, and complained, Xiao Wu just won't stay still. She got in that battle when she first came here, and she's in the Dallas Woods now. Not only that, she's also gone to the middle ring. I heard all the senior spiritual kings were pulled out of the middle ring. Still, she'll have a hard time fighting intermediate ones. She has no idea how much danger she could be in. The Crown Prince had been glancing out the window, but he glared at Feng Sun when he heard that. Feng Sun was so frightened that he jumped to his feet. Shall I go to the Dallas Woods? Feng Sun asked timidly when he saw the Crown Prince's dark face. The Crown Prince didn't reply. He only turned the other way and pulled the blanket over his head. Feng Sun scratched his head. He decided to take that trip just to be sure. Feng Sun fetched Xian Yi and headed for the Dallas Woods. Someone reported to him just then. Ying Yuan's team is back. Ying Yuan. Feng Sun's eyes lit up. He had asked around and knew that Feng Wu had joined Ying Yuan's team. Let's go. Feng Sun and Xian Yi headed for the Major's quarters. However, he only saw 4 people when he got there. Senior Sister Lan's eyes lit up. She wiped her face and dusted the dirt off her dress. As for her hair, she had covered her half-shaved head with a scarf. It looked strange, but it was better than showing her scalp. Senior Sister Lan walked toward Feng Sun with her prettiest smile. Feng Sun rushed toward Ying Yuan. He pushed Senior Sister Lan to the side because she was in his way. Thump! Senior Sister Lan knocked into the wall, and the scarf nearly dropped from her head. Where's Xiao Wu? Feng Sun asked. Where's my Xiao Wu? Didn't she leave with you? Why are you back without her? My Xiao Wu. Most of the people here were from the Major's quarters. They were graduates of Imperial College from the past 1 to 3 years, and were mostly level 1 to level 3 spiritual kings. Senior Sister Lan was taken aback. Feng Wu and Feng Sun. Were they a couple? Feng Sun grabbed Ying Yuan and shouted, Speak! Before Ying Yuan could say anything, Chen Ziyun told Feng Sun what had happened in the woods. He even showed Feng Sun everything Feng Wu had earned. Sister Xiao Wu went to the central area on her own, Chen Ziyun said. I wanted to stop her, but I couldn't. Feng Sun was furious. The central area? Doesn't she know her capability? How could she go there? Feng Sun was fuming. Senior Sister Lan was dumbfounded. What was Feng Wu's relationship with young Lord Feng? Chapter 3028. His Royal Highness likes Xiao Wu. Chapter 3028. His Royal Highness likes Xiao Wu. Only cultivation capability counted in Peace Grassland, and Feng Sun's title wasn't all that useful. However, he was still a young lord, and his father was General Northern Feng. No one could ignore that. Can Feng Wu be General Feng's daughter? That idea frightened senior sister Lan to death. Chen Ziyun felt Feng Sun was going to break his arm. He lowered his voice and whispered to Feng Sun. She said she was going to look for the immortal spiritual fruit. Feng Sun stared at him in astonishment. Chen Ziyun nodded. I'm sure that was what she said. Of course, Feng Sun knew Chen Ziyun was telling the truth because Feng Wu had asked him about the immortal spiritual fruit before. Collecting information took time. Although he wanted to help Boss Jun, he needed more time. Feng Sun let go of Chen Ziyun and told Xian Yi what happened. They entered the Dayless Woods as soon as they could. Feng Wu had no idea of what was happening outside. Are Feng Wu and young Lord Feng a couple? Senior sister Lan asked. Chen Ziyun threw a dirty look at her. Don't spread rumors. Boss Feng Wu and Boss Feng Sun are brother and sister. His mother is her godmother. So, they're not real siblings, Senior Sister Lan said suggestively. Chen Ziyun was furious. Watch your tone. Spread your rumors if you have a death wish. Boss Feng Wu and His Royal Highness are the perfect couple. His Royal Highness adores his sister, Xiao Wu. Of course, Senior Sister Lan wouldn't believe him. Even if she believed it to be true, she would find 100 ways to convince herself it wasn't possible. Somebody else heard Chen Ziyun. It was none other than Dongfang Ziyun. Earlier, Feng Wu's medical skills were such a hard blow to Dongfang Ziyun that she spat out a mouthful of blood and passed out. She finally woke up now and told herself that a semi-divine medicine refiner didn't mean anything. No rule said His Royal Highness had to fall in love with a semi-divine medicine refiner. His Royal Highness isn't the superficial type that can only see a pretty face. He sees beyond one's level. Having convinced herself of all that, Dongfang Ziyun decided to take a walk in the sunlight. Xuelan kept her company. She just happened to pass the area, and she heard the shocking news. Dongfang Ziyun marched toward Chen Ziyun. Xuelan's eyes widened. If she remembered correctly, Miss Dongfang was pretty weak right now. Dongfang Ziyun stopped in front of Chen Ziyun and bellowed, "What did you say?" Chen Ziyun jumped in fright. He turned around and looked at the stranger. Senior sister Lan knew Dongfang Ziyun, but Dongfang Ziyun didn't know her. Usually, Senior sister Lan didn't like Dongfang Ziyun. However, she now decided that an enemy's enemy was a friend. She reminded Chen Ziyun, "This is Miss Dongfang, the best medicine refiner in the fortress." Chapter 3029, Prison. Chapter 3029, Prison. The best medicine refiner? Xuelan glanced at Dongfang Ziyun, who had been proven not to be the best one. However, Dongfang Ziyun accepted that title. Chen Ziyun frowned. The best medicine refiner? Somehow, he felt Feng Wu was an excellent medicine refiner too. Dongfang Ziyun glared at Chen Ziyun. "What did you just say?" Chen Ziyun frowned. "What do you mean?" Dongfang Ziyun was furious. She couldn't believe this man was looking her in the eye. Had they all learned from Feng Wu? He showed her no respect. "What did you say their relationship was?" Dongfang Ziyun asked. Hearing the raised voices, more people gathered around, and all eyes were on Chen Ziyun. Chen Ziyun looked at Dongfang Ziyun. "I know you're a supreme-level medicine refiner. Why are you so mean?" "Xiao Wu's medical skills are just as good as yours," Chen Ziyun said. "Xiao Wu?" Dongfang Ziyun didn't know what to say. She knew Feng Wu's medical skills better than anyone else. Because of what Chen Ziyun said, Dongfang Ziyun considered him her enemy. "Tell me," Dongfang Ziyun shouted. "Fine, I'll tell you," said Chen Ziyun. "His Royal Highness adores Xiao Wu. She's going to marry him." Many people were shocked. Feng Wu, His Royal Highness. Marriage. Everybody stared at Chen Ziyun. Dongfang Ziyun wanted to kill him. All the gazes made Chen Ziyun uneasy. What? Am I wrong? I don't believe you. Dongfang glared at Chen Ziyun. Prove it. Chen Ziyun said, I'm telling the truth. Back then, in Imperial College, His Royal Highness didn't deny it, and many people heard it. Hey, LV Haobei, stop. Chen Ziyun remembered LV Haobei was there, so he wanted the letter to confirm what he said. Of course, LV Haobei wouldn't do that. Dongfang Ziyun was an important figure in the military academy, and he didn't have a death wish. LV Haobei said, I don't know. I didn't see anything. I'm just passing by. He dashed off after that. Chen Ziyun didn't know what to say. Dongfang Ziyun smirked. See? He wouldn't testify. You're lying. Chen Ziyun said, I'm not. Dongfang Ziyun said, prove it. Chen Ziyun didn't know how to. Dongfang Ziyun told the other students from the military academy, take him down. 2 people stepped out to do her bidding. Dongfang Ziyun was the best medicine refiner in the fortress, and no one wanted to offend her. Why are you doing this to me? Chen Ziyun screamed. You've slandered His Royal Highness. Dongfang Ziyun glared at him. Anybody who has done that should die. Lock him up. Nobody helped Chen Ziyun. He was only an unimportant student, and everybody agreed with Dongfang Ziyun. Nobody could slander the crown prince. Chapter 3030, Untitled. Chapter 3030, Untitled. Chen Ziyun was locked up. When Boss Fengwu comes back, tell her to save me. Chen Ziyun shouted at Sun Yu. Sun Yu was worried about him, but couldn't do anything. He and his teammates also said the crown prince was in love with Fengwu, but Dongfang Ziyun threatened them. If you slander His Royal Highness again, you'll end up like Chen Ziyun. Sun Yu and the others were furious. They were telling the truth. How is that slandering? These people were unbelievable. People nowadays, what can I say? A young lieutenant colonel smirked. Why haven't I heard of her before? What's her military rank? Senior brother Jiang. Everybody made way for that man. He was from Imperial College and had been in love with Dongfang Ziyun for a while. However, he hadn't found a chance to express his feelings, so he stood up for her. Senior sister Lan said, military rank? She doesn't have that. She's still a student in Imperial College. Senior brother Jiang acted as if he couldn't believe his ears. What? A student? What makes her think she can make that claim? That's just arrogance. Sun Yu couldn't stand it anymore, and Chu Chu said, Xiao Wu is the best. You don't know anything about her. We've all seen her capability in battle. She has killed level 3 spiritual kings. Sun Yu said, that's right. Senior brother Jiang asked, has she graduated? Is she a major? A lieutenant colonel? The others were speechless. Senior brother Jiang patted Chu Chu on the shoulder. You're still too young and have seen too little. She's not even a major yet, and you're making her sound like a genius. It won't do her any good. You can brag about her when she becomes a lieutenant colonel, but you'll have to wait 10 years before that. Senior brother Jiang laughed. It took him 10 years to become a lieutenant colonel. Sun Yu and the others clenched their fists. She'll become a lieutenant colonel in a year. Chu Chu ground his teeth. Senior sister Lan smirked. A year? You better pray for her and hope she can come out of the Daedalus woods alive. Fengwu had no idea what was happening outside. All she wanted was to find the immortal spiritual fruit. The central region, at her current level, going there would be courting death. Based on what she had learned, only generals could go there. This could be a one-way trip. However, Fengwu took a deep breath. After all, the crown prince was injured because of her. If he hadn't challenged Zhuo Qingfeng, he wouldn't have been injured, and Night Owl wouldn't have taken advantage of that. Fengwu hated Night Owl to the core. If she didn't take the immortal spiritual fruit, Night Owl would regain his ability and destroy their fortress. No one would be able to stop him. Therefore, she had to find the immortal spiritual fruit. Fengwu rushed into the central region without a map or any guidance. Chapter 3031, Humiliation. Chapter 3031, Humiliation. She kept running into assassins. Right now, She was hiding in a tree to eat something, but somebody still spotted her. Whoosh! She heard the sound of rustling leaves. An arrow was aimed at her. She threw the rice ball at that person's face. Whoosh! She charged at him instead of trying to dodge. Fallen Star's sword whooshed, and a head rolled on the ground. Another level 3 spiritual king. Feng Wu was a level 3 spiritual king now, and killing other level 3 spiritual kings was a piece of cake. Feng Wu studied the dead man. He was obviously hunting her. There was a high price on her head, and her divine phoenix blood was extremely precious. If she was from the Dongsang kingdom, would she miss such a good opportunity? Of course not. Hence, Feng Wu looked around. The canopy was so thick that she couldn't see the sky above. Just then, she heard the sound of fighting. Somebody said, "You Dongsang people are despicable. You set us up." That was the language of the Junwu Empire. Was someone from the Junwu Empire fighting someone from the Dongsang kingdom? Feng Wu took out a black scarf to cover her face, then jumped from one tree to another. She reached the place where the battle was taking place in a few jumps. Hiding among the leaves, she observed the battle from dozens of meters away. She recognized the fighters. Sheng Changtian had been stabbed in the stomach. A sword had gone through his abdomen. He held his stomach, and blood was gushing out of his mouth. If he wasn't treated in time, he would die. He was one of the best students of the military academy. If he died now, it would be a hard blow to his school. Feng Wu analyzed the situation. The enemies were 5 level 4 spiritual kings and 5 level 3 ones. Sheng Changtian's team only had 5 members. The team leader was Song Yao, a level 4 spiritual king. There was a fist-sized hole in his abdomen, and his intestines were pouring out. Yang Wan, a level 3 spiritual king, suffered from a few injuries too. However, they were all superficial. It was obvious the enemies were keeping her alive because of her beauty. Sheng Changtian was severely injured. The other 2 members were covered with blood as well. The 10 Dongsang people had surrounded the team of 5. The leader of the Dongsang team smirked. He stared at Yang Wan and aimed his sword at her chest. Yang Wan was shaking with rage. She'd rather die than be humiliated like this. "Stop it, Yamano." So, that was the name of the Dongsang team's leader. Feng Wu hated men like this. Weren't Dongsang cultivators supposed to be uninterested in women and focused on their cultivation only? They were so disgusting. Yamano was even more presumptuous. With a wave of his sword, Yang Wan's dress was sliced open, revealing her arm and shoulder. Chapter 3032, Choice. Chapter 3032, Choice. Yang Wan was shaking furiously. She knew her team would die here. To save herself from the humiliation, she put her sword to her throat. Yang Wan, Sister Wan. The other members of the team went livid and burned with rage. They weren't afraid of death, but they couldn't stand the humiliation. "I thought the Dongsang Kingdom was a place of discipline. Do you realize what you're doing?" Sheng Changtian shouted. "You're breaking your law. You're going to be punished." Yamano snorted. "How would my superiors know? You'll all be dead." He then turned to his team members. "Guys, shall we show the girl a good time?" His teammates grinned maliciously. One of them smiled at Yang Wan. "Killing yourself won't change anything. Your body will still be warm." Yang Wan's eyes widened in despair. She didn't know what to do. Sheng Changtian ground his teeth so hard that he spat out a mouthful of blood. The other team members were as furious as he was. It was unlucky of them to run into this enemy. They weren't afraid of death, but not in this humiliating way. Feng Wu took a deep breath. She knew it. No man could hold back their urges until they were 40 years old. They were used to doing such unspeakable things to young women. Feng Wu wouldn't have it. The battle was about to end. Song Yao and his team were surrounded, and Yamano and his men laughed. They were all using identical bayonets. Yamano pointed at Song Yao with his bayonet. "On your knees. Now, have your backs to us, because we're going to have a competition. The one who can cut most accurately and make you bleed the most will be the winner. Yamano and his team enjoyed killing. Growing up in the blood tax system, they were used to elimination and death. All of them had twisted minds. Song Yao and his team had lost all hope. Is no one coming to our rescue? Song Yao felt the object in his chest pocket. If somebody could save them now. If somebody could kill these people, I'll be grateful forever. Song Yao screamed in his head. I'm not afraid of death, but I don't want to die like this. Sheng Chang Tian was forced on his knees, and a million things went through his mind. He thought about Yang Wan, the military academy, and Feng Wu. He didn't know why, but the last person he thought of before dying was that beautiful girl. Yamano took a portrait out of his pocket and showed it to Sheng Chang Tian. Have you seen her before? Feng Wu was about to come out, but she stopped when she saw this. Sheng Chang Tian glanced at it and immediately recognized the person. It wasn't a very good portrait, but her eyes were unmistakable. It was Feng Wu. We'll spare anyone who can help us find her. Yamano tempted them. Sheng Chang Tian struggled inwardly. Should he tell them? He knew who she was. He had fought Feng Wu in that competition. He even knew where Feng Wu was and could lead them there. Chapter 30-33 Fight. Chapter 30-33 Fight. Do you know her? Do you know where she is? Yamano shook the portrait. Not all Dongsang people could speak the Junwu Empire's language, but Yamano was fluent in it. Sheng Chang Tian felt conflicted. He had to admit he disliked Feng Wu. She had defeated him, and it was understandable if he gave her up. However, she was Feng Wu, the girl with the divine phoenix blood. Her talent was so precious to the Junwu Empire. The Dongsang Kingdom wanted to catch her probably because they wanted to kill the young genius. At that thought, Sheng Chang Tian took a deep breath and made up his mind. I don't know her. Yamano stared at him. Are you sure? Sheng Chang Tian insisted. Of course I'm sure. Yamano gave him one last look before turning to Yang Wan. Given what was happening to her, Yang Wan didn't want Feng Wu to go through the same thing, so she shook her head. I don't know who that is. Yamano glared at them. You've got some integrity, but it'll only make you die sooner. The other three won't have that opportunity anymore. Go to hell. Yamano waved his hands in frustration. Cut their heads off. His teammates had been waiting for this moment, and they raised their weapons in unison. But right at that moment, Yamano felt something cold at his throat. By the time he realized what had happened, blood was gushing out of his neck. Yamano trembled. To defeat one's enemy, it was always a good idea to take out their leader first. Feng Wu couldn't assassinate so many people at once, so she killed their leader first. With him gone, his team members would be confused. It was incredible. Feng Wu moved so fast that before Yamano realized it, her dagger was in another man's throat. Feng Wu chose to assassinate the level 4 spiritual kings first. In an instant, the enemy lost 2 level 4 members. There were only 3 level 4 spiritual kings and 5 level 3 ones left. Feng Wu cut the rope that tied Song Yao's hands behind his back. Get up and kill them. No matter how talented Feng Wu was, she was still very young and was only a level 3 spiritual king. She had already gone above and beyond in killing 2 level 4 spiritual kings. She had only succeeded because the enemy hadn't seen her coming. Song Yao was astonished. He had been ready to die, but the most incredible thing happened. He grabbed the dagger Feng Wu threw at him and stabbed the level 3 spiritual king behind him in the heart. The man died before he could realize what had happened. Sheng Chang Tian and the others finally turned around to see what was going on. Sheng Chang Tian was astonished when he saw the girl in red moving nimbly from one enemy to the next. He even rubbed his eyes, wondering if he was hallucinating. Fight! Having experienced that humiliation, Yang Wan reacted quickly and smacked Sheng Chang Tian on the head. Yes, of course. Sheng Chang Tian finally woke up from his bewilderment. Their injuries didn't matter anymore. Just fight. Chapter 3034 3034 Girl in Red 3034 Girl in Red. When the Junwa Empire's team took action, the Dongsang assassins also recovered from the initial shock. The battle started. So far, the Dongsang kingdom still had the upper hand. They had 3 level 4 spiritual kings and 3 level 3 ones. With the other team, Song Yao was the only level 4 spiritual king, and the others were all level 3 and below, not to mention they were all severely injured. Luckily, Feng Wu killed Yamano first. With the team leader gone, the others were less difficult to handle. Feng Wu fought 2 level 4 spiritual kings, and Song Yao fought 1. Even then, Song Yao was swaying because of his injuries. Feng Wu knew if the battle dragged out, things would get worse for them. Come out, Feng Wu urged Little Phoenix. The bird's capability was affected by Feng Wu. When she became a level 3 spiritual king, the bird rose to the same level. Little Phoenix didn't want to get involved because fighting was so tiresome. However, Feng Wu had given the order, and the bird had to follow. It flew out of Feng Wu's sleeve and aimed at a level 4 spiritual king's eye. What happened was quicker than words could describe. The bird pecked the man's eye, and Feng Wu took advantage of that. Ground control. The man immediately slowed down. It only lasted for less than a second, but it was enough for Feng Wu. Fallen Star Sword, Stance 3. Fatal Thunder. Explode. Feng Wu channeled her spiritual essence into the Fallen Star Sword and stabbed it into the man's heart. The man died instantly. There were only 2 level 4 spiritual kings left. Feng Wu had a much easier time after that. Sheng Changtian couldn't believe his eyes. He and the others fought together and still couldn't kill 1 level 3 spiritual king. He then saw Feng Wu bury her sword in that man's chest. Sheng Changtian didn't know what to say. He felt the world had gone insane. However, Feng Wu was fighting 1 level 4 spiritual king now, and he was a junior. He panicked when he saw Feng Wu kill a teammate that was more capable than he was. Looking up, he saw his team losing ground. No, he had to get away. He turned around, only for a bird to peck his eye. Before he could do anything, Feng Wu's sword went through his chest from behind. The blade pierced his heart. He looked down at the tip of the blade that came out of his chest. This couldn't be real. He opened his mouth to say something, but Feng Wu drew out the sword, and blood gushed out. The man swayed, turned around, and stared at her in astonishment. Feng Wu had covered her face, and the assassins didn't recognize her. Feng Wu ignored him. She raised her sword when walking past Sheng Changtian. The level 3 spiritual king that Sheng Changtian and Yang Wan had been trying to kill was cut in half. Sheng Changtian didn't know what to say. Nor did Yang Wan. Chapter 3035 3035 She's God 3035 She's God. The Dongsang assassins couldn't recognize Feng Wu, but Song Yao and his team could. The girl in red was Feng Wu. Sheng Changtian looked at Feng Wu in bewilderment. Before long, his eyes sparkled, especially when he saw Feng Wu killing the enemy as she walked toward Song Yao. Yes, it was as effortless as it sounded. She cut off the heads of spiritual kings as easily as cutting grass. She reached Song Yao, who was in danger. Apart from the level 4 spiritual king that Song Yao was fighting, all the other Dongsang assassins were dead. The level 4 spiritual king didn't realize that until he looked around to find his teammates lying all over the ground. Moments ago, they had been competing over cutting off their captives' heads, but now they were lying in their own blood. The level 4 spiritual king was terrified. Fear overtook him, and he gave up. He only wanted to flee. Feng Wu arrived before he could do that. She kicked him to the ground, and Song Yao cut off his head. The head rolled around on the ground. No one made a sound. Leaves rustled in the wind. Song Yao, Yang Wan, Sheng Changtian, and the other 2 members stared at Feng Wu in bewilderment. They now only realized how talented Feng Wu was. Aren't you a level 2 spiritual king? Sheng Chantian didn't know what to believe anymore. Feng Wu glanced at him. That's old news. Yang Wan and the others were amazed. Feng Wu had been a level 2 spiritual king when she found the Dongsang team the other day. What Sheng Chantian said astonished them even more. Sheng Chantian said, "You were only a level 1 spiritual king 10 days ago when you fought me in Imperial College." Everybody was shocked. Yang Wan forced a smile. "Sheng Chantian, are you joking?" "I'm not," said Sheng Chantian. She became a level 2 spiritual king during that battle. The others were speechless. They all looked at Feng Wu. As if making 2 breakthroughs in 10 days wasn't enough, she could also kill enemies that had higher cultivation levels than her. She had killed almost all 5 level 4 spiritual kings. "You?" Sheng Chantian told the others. "She has divine phoenix blood. It's 1,000,000 times more precious than Zhuo Qinghuan's true phoenix blood." Somehow, Sheng Chantian sounded so proud. Feng Wu shook her head. Weren't the 2 schools supposed to be rivals? She took out a bottle of supreme level potion and tossed it to Sheng Chantian. "Drink some and put some on your wounds. You should leave the Dayless Woods now." She turned around after that. Sheng Chantian said, "Aren't you leaving?" Feng Wu shook her head. "I have very important things to do." Seeing that Feng Wu was heading for the central area, he hesitantly touched the object in his chest pocket. In the end, he gritted his teeth and said, "Wait." Chapter 3036, 3036 Magical Soul Vine. 3036 Magical Soul Vine. Feng Wu stopped and looked at Song Yao. Song Yao fumbled in his pocket and took out a piece of paper. "We found this on a capable Dongsang man." Feng Wu unfolded it and saw that it was a hand-drawn map. "It points to the central region. I don't know what kind of treasures are hidden there, but..." Song Yao looked Feng Wu in the eye. This map was very precious to that man. Feng Wu studied it and saw a tree marked as the end point on the map. Feng Wu was astonished. Other people might not be able to recognize the tree, but Feng Wu could. That was an immortal spiritual tree. She had seen one of these trees in northern border city before. She had come to the Dayless Woods to look for an immortal spiritual fruit. Feng Wu looked up from the map and stared at Song Yao with sparkling eyes. Song Yao nearly jumped. "What?" Feng Wu memorized the map and nodded at Song Yao. "It's very useful. Thank you." She carefully folded the map and put it in her sleeve. Song Yao thought, does she know what the treasure is just by looking at the map? That can't be. She must be trying to comfort me. Song Yao recalled not being friendly toward Imperial College and how he mocked its students whenever he had the chance. He didn't expect Feng Wu to be so considerate. Because of that, Song Yao liked Feng Wu even more. Feng Wu said, "You should leave now before more assassins detect the smell of your blood and track you down." Song Yao said these badges, together, the badges of the 10 spiritual kings and the essence crystals they carried were worth a small fortune. Feng Wu waved them off. "Take them. I'll trade them for this map." She left after that. Despite what she said, Song Yao and his team didn't see it that way, but Feng Wu didn't know that. She ran as fast as she could toward the central region. The map was very brief and only had an outline of the place. It showed that the immortal spiritual tree was on a cliff in the center of the woods. That cliff was close to the volcano. The tree was at the center of the cliff. It would be easy to find, but that only made the trip more dangerous. Feng Wu couldn't care about that anymore. She changed her clothes because her red dress was too conspicuous. She also wore a disguise so that she looked like an ordinary girl. If Jun Linyuan were here, he would immediately recognize that face. She was the girl who had swindled him out of that immortal spiritual fruit. Feng Wu never thought she would use this mask again. It was easy for a Dongsang person to pretend to be a resident of the Junwu Empire, but the other way round was almost impossible. All Dongsang assassins were selected through the blood tax system, and after training, they all had the aura that was native to the Dongsang kingdom. The people of the Junwu Empire didn't have it, but Feng Wu did. When she was set up by her enemy, Jun Linyuan tried to save her, and had subdued the magical soul vine for her, turning it into her pet. The vine gave Feng Wu the aura of a Dongsang assassin and also enabled her to speak the Dongsang language fluently. Chapter 3037 3037 Ruthless Character 3037 Ruthless Character Feng Sun and Xian, who were looking for Feng Wu when they ran into an injured team. My lord, thinking they were enemies, Song Yao was about to warn his team when he recognized Feng Sun. Feng Sun saw that the 5 people were all covered in blood, and their clothes were in tatters. They looked worse than beggars. You, Feng Sun frowned. What happened? Sheng Chantian knew Feng Sun was close to Feng Wu, so he said, it's all because of Feng Wu. Feng Sun and Xian immediately asked, what about her? What happened to her? What Sheng Chantian said was quite confusing. Seeing that Sheng Chantian wanted to continue, Song Yao pushed him aside and told Feng Sun about Feng Wu's brave deeds. Feng Sun's eyes widened. What? Xiao Wu killed 5 level 4 and 5 level 3 spiritual kings, all by herself? She saved you? Song Yao and the others all nodded. She killed most of them. Look, these are all her prizes. Feng Sun looked in the backpack and was astonished. Since when was Feng Wu so capable? Feng Sun soon got over the initial shock, and he asked, where is she? Why isn't she with you? Song Yao hesitated. Feng Sun had a bad feeling and shouted, speak. Song Yao said, we asked her to come back with us, but she insisted on going to the central region, and we couldn't stop her. I gave her this map. What map? Feng Sun grew anxious. The central region. Why was she so bold? Song Yao said, we killed an enemy and found this map on him. It's like this. He had a good memory and soon drew a copy for Feng Sun. The tree looked identical to the one on the original map. Feng Sun didn't recognize it, but Xian frowned. Isn't that the immortal spiritual tree? They had seen this tree when they accompanied Jun Lin Yuan to look for the immortal spiritual fruit. The thought of the fruit reminded Feng Sun of the ugly girl. She had fooled him over and over again. Did you give this map to her? Feng Sun glared at Song Yao. Song Yao didn't know what he did wrong, and Feng Sun's stare made him uneasy. Feng Sun wanted to slap Song Yao. However, he knew Feng Wu's decision had nothing to do with Song Yao. Feng Sun was grinding his teeth when somebody ran toward him. My lord, Elder Hellion needs to see you. It was Yuan Shui, Elder Hellion's favorite servant. Feng Sun wanted to shake his head when Yuan Shui added, it's about the immortal spiritual fruit. Elder Hellion has news on it, and it's urgent. Mr. Sakia is involved too. Feng Sun stared at Yuan Shui. What did you say? Yuan Shui nodded. Yes, Sakia came all the way here from the Dongsang capital city to take charge of the situation. Sakia. Feng Sun gritted his teeth. Of course, he knew who that was. Sakia was a ruthless man. He was the most relentless person. Chapter 3038 3038 Catch That Feng Wu 3038 Catch That Feng Wu Sakia was the crown prince's teacher and one of the highest-ranking officials in the Dongsang kingdom. The crown prince had 3 teachers. One gave him classes, one taught him how to fight, and one protected him. Right now, Sakia had all 3 titles, which was how talented the old man was. He knew everything that had ever happened in history and was so intelligent that he didn't seem human. Night Owl was very capable, but he was impulsive, violent, and reckless. Sakia was so smart and resourceful that he could make up for Night Owl's shortcomings. Together, they made an invincible team. Now that Night Owl had badly injured himself, Sakia had to come all the way here to take charge of things. Feng Sun had fallen for Sakia's ploys quite a few times. The only one who had ever outwitted Sakia was Jun Lin Yuan, but he was better than now. No, Jun Lin Yuan might have lost his cultivation ability, but his brain still worked. Go back now. Tell Elder Hellion and Boss June what happened. I'll find Xiao Wu and stop her. They went their separate ways after that. Feng Wu had no idea what was going on. Right now, she was lurking behind a team. There was a big team consisting of 50 people. The team leader was a giant with a full beard. He was quite capable. At her current level, Feng Wu couldn't tell his exact cultivation level. He had to be at least a level 5 spiritual king. The group he led consisted of 10 individual teams. In each team, the leader was a level 4 spiritual king, and the members were level 3 spiritual kings. Feng Wu hid in the thick canopy of a big tree nearby and listened to them. The team members were resting and eating. Our task is to catch the level 2 spiritual king alive. She has the divine phoenix blood. The giant's voice boomed like thunder. He looked around and said, I received information from a reliable source. She's here in the Dayless Woods. If 50 of us can't catch her, you can all go to hell. Lord Pan, that won't happen. Any one of us can catch her alive. How can this team fail that task? The other team leaders nodded. Lord Pan was pleased. We can ignore the other people of the Junwo Empire. Our top priority is the divine phoenix blood. Mr. Sakia says we must catch her. Feng Wu narrowed her eyes. Who is Mr. Sakia? Did Mr. Sakia ask specifically for Feng Wu? One of the level 4 spiritual kings sounded astonished. Mr. Sakia has never failed to catch a person he wants. That was the leader of Team 1. The leader of Team 2 chimed in. Mr. Sakia can always predict things. If he says we have to catch Feng Wu, she can't escape. I'm just curious. Is the divine phoenix blood that important? The leader of Team 3 said, I heard that the divine phoenix blood is a great tonic. One drop can change the bloodline of a good-for-nothing. Isn't that amazing? The leader of Team 4 said, That's incredible. When we catch her, can I poke her finger for a drop of her blood? Chapter 3039, 3039, Feng Sun. 3039, Feng Sun. The leader of Team 5 said, How can you be so stupid? Why should we poke a hole in her? We'll beat her until she bleeds, and we'll have as much blood as we want then. Lord Pan smacked him on the head. Watch your mouth. How dare you defy Mr. Sakia? He'll chop off all your heads. The team leaders immediately stopped talking. They might still have a chance if they pleaded with the crown prince, but Mr. Sakia was the kind of person who would cut off your head while smiling. Feng Wu had a rough idea now. Mr. Sakia had to be extremely capable to frighten these people so much. Feng Wu was also worried about her divine phoenix blood. As it turned out, these people were after it. Now that Jun Linyuan wasn't watching over her, the Dongseng Kingdom began to come up with crazy plans. Catch her, bleed her, and use her as a tool for other people's cultivation? Feng Wu smirked. She would show these people who would be the ones to bleed. These Dongseng people were competing over how many Junwo people they could kill, and Feng Wu was furious. She would make these people's lives as hard as possible. Feng Wu wanted to keep going when somebody patted her head. She raised her head and looked into a pair of familiar eyes. Feng Wu was astonished. Feng Sun, the young lord, was filled with emotions. You. Feng Wu was about to speak, but Feng Sun gave her a warning glance, gesturing at her to follow him. Feng Wu followed Feng Sun to a creek. They crouched down in a pit behind a giant rock and looked at each other. Feng Wu realized what she looked like now and remembered how the ugly girl had tricked Feng Sun. The weather is so nice today. She tried to digress. Feng Sun cut her off. He studied her mask and didn't know what to say. Crossing his arms, he mocked her. How brave of you. You're good enough to venture into the Dayless Woods on your own. Huh. You're only a student. Are you prepared to go to the Central Region? I see you've helped some people. You must feel so good about yourself. Feng Wu felt a little guilty when she heard his mocking tone. It wasn't just because of what she had done in Northern Border City. She also felt awkward about what was happening now. After all, she was still a student. I'm already a level 3 spiritual king. I've more than passed the requirement to graduate. Feng Wu looked up at Feng Sun, but then immediately lowered her head. Feng Sun stared at her. Do you think a level 3 spiritual king can get through the central region all by themselves? Feng Wu said. Feng Sun had always been bubbly and gullible. Feng Wu had never seen him so serious before. Feng Sun jabbed her forehead with a finger. Xian, he has gone to see Elder Hellion. This is a matter that has to involve the high-ranking officials of our empire. Your attempt will only get you killed. Feng Wu said, No, I'm not. Feng Sun said, Everywhere I went, I heard them hunting a girl in red, who has the divine phoenix blood. Chapter 3040 3047 Beast Kings 3047 Beast Kings. Luckily, Feng Sun recognized her disguise, or he wouldn't have known who she was. You're not the type of person to flaunt your bloodline. How'd they find out? Feng Sun frowned. The thought frustrated Feng Wu. Zhuqing Wan and Shanjing Fei. Feng Wu described to Feng Sun what she had heard. They're working with the Dongsang Kingdom. You should pay more attention to them. Feng Sun frowned. I can see why Zhuqing Wan would do it, but who's Shanjing Fei? Feng Wu then told Feng Sun about Shanjing Fei. Feng Sun stared at her. Why are you always in trouble? You attract even more attention than Boss Jun. Feng Wu pouted. He's the reason I'm in so much trouble in the first place. Feng Sun suddenly said, Wait. What do you mean by you should just now? Aren't you coming back with me? Of course not. No one knew when Elder Hellion and the others would arrive. Moreover, the high-ranking officials had too many scruples. It would take them forever to make a decision. Feng Wu had already made up her mind. She would go off on her own. No, Feng Sun cut her off. I won't have it. You're coming back with me. Feng Wu grinned, stuck out her tongue, and sprinted off. Feng Sun wanted to go after her, but his feet were stuck to the ground. He couldn't believe what had happened. That girl, she set this trap while talking to him. She had done the same thing when she took the immortal spiritual fruit. Feng Sun was astonished. He decided to abandon his shoes. He cut open his boots, almost injuring himself in the process. However, she was long gone by the time he freed himself. Feng Sun ran after her, filled with anxiety. They were almost in the central region now. That region was so famous for a reason. There were 7 formidable beast kings in the Dayless Woods. No one knew how powerful they were. According to Jun Lin Yuan, they were somewhere between the spiritual overlord and spiritual saint stages. They could kill a junior spiritual king like Feng Wu with a flick of their finger. Feng Sun was worried sick. Seeing Feng Sun chasing her, Feng Wu headed for the central region without hesitation. The chase soon caught Lord Pan's attention. He was having his meal. Suddenly, he tossed his bowl aside and jumped to his feet. Something's happening. Spread out and see what's going on. Lord Pan gave the order. Feng Sun was scared to death when he saw Feng Wu enter the central region. OMG, she's going to die. She had already stepped into one of the Beast King's territories. Stop. Feng Wu, stop right there. Feng Sun could only speak to her in a hushed voice. He ran as fast as he could in bare feet. Feng Wu would never go back with him, so she ran as fast as she could as well. She wanted to lose Feng Sun and hide in a remote corner. Chapter 3041 3041 Sacred Imperial Spider 3041 Sacred Imperial Spider. Feng Wu wanted to change her disguise once she found a remote corner. That way, Feng Sun wouldn't know what she looked like. She didn't have much disguise paste left and could only change her disguise no more than twice. Just then, Little Phoenix cried out, Stop! I sense something dangerous. Feng Wu stopped abruptly. She could hear footsteps on fallen leaves. Before Little Phoenix could go on, Feng Sun caught up with her and grabbed her arm. You naughty girl. I finally caught you. Do you know how dangerous this place is? There are 7 Beast Kings in the central region, and each of them is either a spiritual overlord or a spiritual saint. They can kill you with a single touch. Do you have a death wish? What'll happen to Boss Jun if you're dead? The Empire will be in chaos. Come back with me now. Feng Sun scolded Feng Wu. He dragged her in the opposite direction, but he was too late. A sinister voice came from behind them. Where are you going? Stay. The eerie laughter gave Feng Wu and Feng Sun the creeps. It was so intimidating. They sensed a force more powerful than Elder Wu or even Elder Hellion. Feng Wu knew she was nowhere near capable enough to fight this creature. Feng Wu and Feng Sun exchanged looks. Feng Sun stared at her, fighting back his impulse to smack her. Feng Wu felt rather guilty. They raised their hands in the air and turned around. Behind them was a large, old tree, and on it was a spider as big as a grown man. It stared at them with cold eyes. Seeing them turn around, the golden spider stuck out its tongue. Feng Sun felt his heart race. It's the sacred Imperial spider. He felt suffocated. Feng Wu didn't know what that meant, so she wasn't afraid and even asked him what it was in a whisper. Feng Sun said, "It's one of the 7 beast kings. It's a peak spiritual overlord or a junior spiritual saint. We're doomed." Ha ha ha. The sacred Imperial spider found it ridiculous that the 2 humans were bold enough to talk to each other in front of it. Since when were humans so bold? The spider looked Feng Sun up and down and nodded in satisfaction. The teenager looked very yummy. It then turned to Feng Wu and found her rather ordinary. The sacred Imperial spider was female. She began to wonder which human she should eat first. She looked back and forth between Feng Wu and Feng Sun. Feng Wu swallowed. "Why do I feel like it wants to eat us?" Feng Sun said, "You think. Even Elder Hellion isn't this spider's match. How about this? I'll hold on to its legs, and you run as fast as you can. Understand?" Chapter 3042. 3042 Eat You Up. 3042 Eat You Up. Feng Sun glared at Feng Wu. He knew he would probably die here, but his death would be worth it if Feng Wu could get away. Feng Wu shook her head. "No, we still have a chance." She had some poison. If the spider wanted to eat them, it would be killed by their dead bodies. Maybe they could strike a deal. Taking the poison was the last resort. If there was a chance to escape, of course, they would take it. Feng Wu said, "Let's run in opposite directions, and we'll know which one of us the spider wants to eat. If you don't run, I'll come back for you even if I get away." Feng Wu had never sounded so serious. Feng Sun had no choice but to agree with her. They only managed to take 3 steps in opposite directions. Whoosh! 2 golden spider webs flew in both directions. Feng Wu was caught by the spider web in midair, and so was Feng Sun. The harder she struggled, the tighter the web became. Feng Wu knew if she kept struggling, her limbs would be cut off. She was sure of it. She looked in Feng Sun's direction. Just like her, Feng Sun was wrapped into a cocoon, and that cocoon hung from the spider's fang on a string. That was to say, Feng Wu dangled on the spider's other fang. Feng Wu turned to Feng Sun. Feng Sun looked back at her. Both of them were speechless. They felt like 2 human meat loaves. Feng Wu tried to cut the string with Fallen Star Sword, but the web wouldn't budge. She couldn't free herself from the web. It was so hopeless. The spider studied the ugly girl. What's she thinking? She's as weak as an ant. Why does she think she can get away? The spider finally made the difficult decision. It would eat the ugly one first and keep the nice-looking one for later. It opened one side of its mouth, lifting the web with Feng Wu inside. She was soon between its teeth. She could see the spider's red tongue and smell its stench. "Are you really going to eat me? Would you like to make a deal?" Feng Wu tried to negotiate with it. The spider was amazed. Why did an ant think she could negotiate with her? Had she lost her mind? Feng Wu said, "I've been poisoned, and you'll die if you eat me. How about I find you more food? There are 50 healthy people on the other side." The spider glanced at Feng Wu. It understood her language. Feng Wu saw the expression in the spider's eyes. The disdain was quite apparent. "I mean it. I can lure them here, and you can eat as much as you want." Feng Wu thought she had a chance. Chapter 3043. 3043, you idiot. 3043, you idiot. However, the spider shook its head. Yes, that was what it did. Feng Wu wanted to continue, but the spider smirked. "And what makes you think you can talk to me?" Feng Wu was astonished. She rarely faced a creature so powerful. Even when she did, they either ignored her or doted on her. None of them had ever sneered at her like this. Feng Wu still had some cards up her sleeves. For instance, she still had the phoenix pen from Master Ling Hu. She wasn't going to write inscriptions with it, because her inscriptions wouldn't be powerful enough to affect the spider. She wanted to intimidate the spider with it. She was confident that the spider was scared of Master Ling Hu. That was why she had dared to come to the central region on her own. She had just put her hand in her pocket when something jumped out of her sleeve. "Hey, you stupid spider. Do you have a death wish?" What? Little Phoenix had come out. It was such a small bird that it looked tiny on Feng Wu's shoulder. Its feathers were standing up, and its face was scarlet red. It looked furious. Feng Wu's stomach lurched. What was the bird talking about? This was a sacred Imperial spider that even Elder Hellion couldn't defeat. Feng Wu was trying to push Little Phoenix back in her sleeve when the spider halted. It narrowed its eyes and studied Little Phoenix. The bird felt both familiar and unfamiliar. The spider was confused. "You?" The longer the spider looked at Little Phoenix, the more uneasy it felt. An old memory seemed to be waking up. Feng Wu didn't dare move a muscle. She could feel the bird's claws trembling on her shoulder. At the same time, she could also feel the terrifying energy the bird emanated. Had Little Phoenix remembered something from its past? Had it dealt with the sacred Imperial spider before? "Have you forgotten about me? I should have cut off more of your legs." Spiders should have 8 legs. When Feng Wu looked at the sacred Imperial spider, she realized it only had 4. What? The sacred Imperial spider wasn't certain at first. Although it had sensed the bird's energy, it had been so long that it couldn't relate this fist-sized bird to Boss Phoenix back then. The energy felt right, and what the bird said made sense. Even the fear was the same. All beasts had an instinctive fear of their superiors. It was an ingrained reaction. Why? The spider swallowed. Little Phoenix snorted. "Have I jogged your memory?" The sacred Imperial spider said respectfully, "Yes, of course. Thank you for sparing my life back then." Little Phoenix asked, "Now, did you want to eat my little ones?" Chapter 3044, 3044, Intimidation. 3044, Intimidation. "Your little ones?" The sacred Imperial spider repeated anxiously. Little Phoenix raised its head and snorted. It didn't bother to answer that question. The sacred Imperial spider said, "I'm so sorry. I didn't know they were under your protection." "The girl's so ugly," the spider thought to itself. Little Phoenix glowered. "Be nice to each other for the next few days. I need to sleep. Don't wake me up." "Yes, of course." The sacred Imperial spider lowered its head and saluted the terrifying creature that had once turned the Dayless Woods upside down. Little Phoenix ran back to the storage space. Feng Wu was perplexed. So was Feng's son. They looked at each other in astonishment. Feng Wu thought, "Since when was Little Phoenix so intimidating?" Feng's son thought, "What did I see just then?" They both looked at the sacred Imperial spider in amazement. Phew! Little Phoenix sighed in relief once it was back in the storage space. Feng Wu then communicated with the bird in her mind. "I didn't know you're so amazing. Are you that much stronger than the spider? Can you defeat all the creatures in the Dayless Woods?" "In your dreams." Little Phoenix laughed. "What are you thinking?" Feng Wu said, "What?" Little Phoenix said, "Can't you see what I'm like now?" Feng Wu said, "Well." She knew the bird was about her level. As for the spider, it was somewhere between the spiritual overlord and spiritual saint stages. Elder Hellion was a spiritual overlord, and Jun Lin Yuan was a spiritual saint. That was to say, the spider's capability was between the two of them. Little Phoenix sighed. Feng Wu said, "That's to say, you were..." Little Phoenix said, "I thought you would never get it. I was bluffing But that spider is so powerful. It's no longer that stupid little creature anymore. Sooner or later, it'll realize what I've done. I used too much spiritual essence to scare it, and it'll take me a while to recover. You're on your own now. Feng Wu said, So, you were bluffing. Little Phoenix said, Of course I was. Creatures like that will back off when you show muscle. If I hadn't done that, that spider would have eaten you. Understood. And there's more. Little Phoenix sighed. You were a little too generous. Feng Wu looked perplexed. Little Phoenix said, Essence crystals are great stuff, and you can't find them anywhere else. Can you keep some essence crystals for yourself? If you don't want them, you can give them to the cub and me. Feng Wu was about to reply when she heard a noise. Little Phoenix said, Go. You need to fool the spider now. Little Phoenix then went back to its cultivation. It needed to replenish its spiritual essence. Maybe it would need to do this trick again. Chapter 3045, 3045 Eat Her, 3045 Eat Her. Feng Wu turned her attention to the outside world to find Feng Sun staring at the spider. The spider was also staring at him. Its fangs could produce venom, which was its most effective strategy. The spider licked its fangs and smirked. Boss Phoenix hadn't said it couldn't eat the boy. He's so pretty. I bet he's very yummy. The spider was so hungry that it opened its mouth and quickly approached Feng Sun. Feng Sun thought he would have a heart attack. He couldn't believe what was happening. Feng Wu returned to herself to find the spider trying to eat Feng Sun. She bellowed, Hey, what do you think you're doing? She rested her hands on her waist and glared at the spider. Feng Sun was speechless. He didn't know if he should cry or laugh. Feng Wu was only a spiritual king, but the spider was probably a peak spiritual saint. They were a whole stage apart. Feng Wu was so bold. The spider was confused by Feng Wu's reprimand. It stared at Feng Wu like it could eat her at any moment. If it attacked Feng Wu, she wouldn't stand a chance. Feng Sun was so nervous that he didn't dare make a sound, fearing that his breathing would affect Feng Wu. His forehead was covered with sweat. On the other hand, Feng Wu crossed her arms and stared at the spider. Aren't you afraid of me? The spider asked grimly. Feng Wu smirked. The spider said, Say you're afraid of me, and I'll let you go. Feng Wu glanced at the spider. Me? Afraid of you? What gave you that idea? The spider studied Feng Wu. Feng Wu mimicked Jun Lin Yuan and radiated her energy. She remembered what Jun Lin Yuan looked like when he threatened other people. She stopped blinking and fixed her gaze on one spot. The spider thought, The girl knows she has a patron. She's not afraid of me at all. Boss Phoenix must be watching over her from somewhere. If I do the wrong thing, Boss Phoenix will reappear and chop off the rest of my legs. The spider stiffened and stared at Feng Wu. The ordinary-looking girl brushed her hand over her face, and she suddenly looked completely different. She was stunning now. The spider had never seen anyone so pretty before. I want to eat her, the spider drooled. To its surprise, the girl then removed her robe to reveal the pink dress underneath. The bright color set off her alabaster skin, making her even more stunning. She's so beautiful. That was all the spider could think of. It felt dizzy. Was it because it was hungry, or was the girl too pretty? I want to eat her. That you're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.